Now it's case number 28 on the calendar in the matter of Rich versus Wegener. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Ms. Rich, you and the defendant have 2 children together, and it is
Yes,
your
ma'am.
claim that while you were living in California, utilities and daycare expenses and stuff were in your name. Financially, things were not going well. You had to borrow money from a friend to get your car back, which was being repossessed. And when you separated, you claimed that Mr. Wegener promised to pay half of all of these bills, including the car loan, including half of daycare expenses where there was an outstanding balance, and he has not paid.
Right.
And Mr. Wegener says that you stopped working sometime well before you moved back to Massachusetts. He was the only person working in the household. He was staying home, either taking care of 1 child or 2 children, I don't know.
It was 1 child.
One
I was
child.
pregnant at the time.
And you were pregnant, and he was the only one working, and if you mismanaged the money and didn't pay those bills, that's not his problem or his fault. Mr. Wegener says he pays $600 a month in child support for his 2 children, and that's the extent of his obligation.
Your Honor, there is no court-ordered child support right now.
He didn't say there was a court order. He said he pays
And
child
it's not-
support in the amount of
it's
$600 a month.
It's not every month either.
Well, you should have a child support order.
I'm working on that right now, ma'am.
So he's paying you child support without an order.
Child support on and off, yes, ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
But that
Well-
has nothing to do with our utilities. We were together for 3 years. We share 2 children together. I have an 8-week-old and a 20-month-old. And our 20-month-old was in daycare at the time when we both were working.
Mm-hmm.
A total of $2,360 in daycare expenses have been incurred. He agreed to pay that back. He even agreed to the daycare provider that he would. And now I owe it, and she's taken me to court for it. But it was for our daughter. And as far as the car loan goes, when my car got repossessed, we were both still working. And we lived 30 minutes away from our jobs. And if we didn't have a car, we would both get fired because we couldn't get to work. And that's when our friend, our mutual friend, had stepped in to lend us $1,500.
Who asked for the loan?
Both of us did.
Well, tell me how that came about.
We have a mutual friend that when we asked her, we don't know what we're going to do, we're going to get repossessed, she's like, well, I can lend you the money, but you have to pay me back. I do have a promissory note to her and a receipt for the $1,500.
Who signed the promissory note?
Promissory, just her. She just stated in the receipt.
It's not a promissory note. That's a receipt for receiving the money. Who's paid her back?
No one has paid her back, and she has stated in here that no one has paid her back. I can prove that he was on the car with me and that we haven't paid her back. It's not fair that she hasn't gotten her money back, and she's getting upset, and she wants to take me to small claims for it. It was our car. It was both of our car. We used it. And actually, after I lost my job, he used it primarily.
Where is the car now?
It's gone. When we moved out to California, it was dead. The car had troubles. And
How long ago are we talking about?
we moved out to California in August of 2005. That's when we left the car.
So you left the car in Massachusetts?
Yes.
What else, Miss Rich?
Well, we incurred bills together while we were living together. And when we broke up, we were fighting all the time. We were arguing all the time. It was not a good situation for the kids. I was 7 months pregnant, and it just wasn't a good situation altogether. I had left because all we did was fight. And when I left, he agreed. He promised me that he would pay back half all the expenses.
Did you do that, Mr. Wagoner?
No, I did not, Your Honor.
Well, tell me what you did say with regard to any of these outstanding bills, some of which she has, some of which she doesn't have. She certainly doesn't have an outstanding bill for a car loan that was for a mutual friend in Massachusetts because there has been no action on that. And certainly that would not be for you to pay to her. It would be for you to pay to this person if you, in fact, took a loan from this person. Tell me about, let's say, the daycare.
Well, basically, Your Honor, the daycare, most of the time that we incurred the daycare, she was not working. She was at home and basically had the children in daycare.
That's
so
not
that
true.
Basically,
Don't speak now.
So that basically they would be able to either spend time with friends or just so that she could kind of have some time to herself.
Which sometimes is a very good thing, Mr. Wegener.
And so that they could hang out with kids and whatnot. And basically, as far as...
So you agree to that?
Yes, I do agree to that, yes.
You agree to that. Well, how was the daycare paid?
Basically, the daycare was not paid. I have not given any money towards it. Primarily right now, I am just giving her the $600 on a monthly basis. It has not been every once in a while. It has been on a monthly basis, $300 every 2 weeks, and basically have stated to her that I don't think I should have to pay the half of the daycare, that the child support should, a little bit of it should go to pay this person back.
Well, let me ask you this question, Mr. Wegener. Instead of giving her $600 a month or $300, why don't you give her $500 and pay $100 towards the daycare expense, as long as there's no court order, sir?
Well, basically the main reason I'm paying the $600 is the fact that she has stated that if I don't pay the child support that we did verbally agree to, that she would basically not allow me to see the children, which I don't see already because they're 3,000 miles away. pay, and she had stated that if I did not pay the full $600, that she would go to the child support department and ask them to seek the full amount allowed by the law, which could be more than $600.
Well, then that might be a problem for you, Mr. Wegener. That's what you should do. You know, there are federal child support guidelines in this country because the federal government in each state says that children are entitled to be supported to the extent that each parent is able to support them. You have 2 children, so if what you're saying to me, for instance, Mr. Wegener, is that you give us $600 now, if she were to take you to court, it's very likely, based upon that child support formula, let's say you'd be paying $800 a month.
Okay.
Right? And you don't want to pay the $800 a month, so you have this agreement for $600 a month. I'm telling Miss Rich, go to court, get the full amount of child support that your children are entitled to, and pay the daycare.
I'm in the process of doing that. I'm working
Well,
with the Department
that's
of Revenue.
good. So I'm not dealing with the daycare.
But,
Because
Your
when you
Honor,
go to
if I don't pay
speaking,
this back, I'm going to be the one that goes to jail for this because she's the one who's going to
let
be
me
suing
explain
me.
something to you. You're not going to jail for anything, Miss Rich.
She is suing me in small claims. I can't
Listen to
afford
me.
this. The
Well,
child
I'm
support-
speaking.
Kimberly Rich says ex-boyfriend Carl Wegener owes for daycare fees, a loan, and unpaid bills. Carl says Kimberly has a problem managing her money.
When you are not married, and you are not married to Mr. Wegener, when you take him to court for the support of 2 out-of-wedlock children, they are entitled to a certain amount of support. They are also entitled to retroactive support for certain expenses, including birthing expenses, if he did not contribute to those. The court, when they render an order for child support, will render an order that will encompass all of his obligations. And I am not now prepared to say to you that I am going to either increase or decrease those obligations. If you're in the process of getting a child support order, Mr. Wagner says that in all probability it is going to exceed the $600 that he's paying you now. And what I'm suggesting to you is that you take the difference and make a payment schedule with the daycare and pay him off.
I am on payment schedules
Good.
with everybody.
No, you're not on a payment schedule, Miss Rich, with the person who you took $1,500 from.
No, I am not because I'm court-ordered to pay other bills right now that were incurred while we were together. He agreed to pay back those bills. I can't feed my children. I can't put diapers on them. The little support that he does send me has to go towards everything that is incurred now. Not incurred last when we were together, but incurred now. They have to eat. They have to have diapers. They have to have all this stuff. That shouldn't even count towards the old stuff.
Well, I just said to you, I am not dealing with the daycare center, because that will be addressed by a family court judge. I am not addressing the loan to this mutual friend that you took out, because that has not been reduced to a judgment. As far as I know, she can sue him for that money. If you had paid the money to this person and then sued him for half, then you have a cause of action. But
I've
right
been
now,
making payments
listen,
to everybody. I have.
you
I
just-
have proof saying I've been making payments.
What's the name of the person, Miss Rich, that you borrowed $1,500 from?
Heather Eustitis.
Show me that you made payments to her.
I just have her statements and everything.
You have a statement there from her that says that you've paid her back?
I have a statement in here saying that we promised to pay her back.
That's not what I said, Miss Rich. I
It doesn't
said to you,
say exactly how
asked-
much I paid her back. No,
I
it doesn't. It doesn't give exact amounts of how much I paid her back. No.
Well, then show me how much you paid her back. You must have receipts. You must have canceled checks.
I don't
You
have
must
the receipts
something.
with me. No, I just have
Miss
the receipt
Rich.
that she gave me.
Do you have any receipts that she gave you for money that you paid back to her?
Just no, I don't.
Because you didn't pay her any money back. Because if you had paid her money back, then you would have had a receipt.
The daycare, I have something saying that I
I'm
paid.
not. Listen to me. I told you. You have to go to family court with regard to payments for the daycare, because that will be encompassed in a family court order of support that they will make against Mr. Wegener. I've explained that to you, not once, 3 times.
I understand that.
3
Your Honor.
times. Do you get any state aid for any of your children?
Yes, I get SSI. I get SSI for me, and I do get food stamps for them right now because I can't afford to live at this point.
What's the basis of your SSI?
I've had it since I was 18. It just says that I had depression and I wasn't able to work due to my depression in and out of programs when I was 18.
So how much do you get in SSI?
This month I'm only getting $300. Normally I get $635 a month to live on.
And in food stamps, how much do you get?
Food stamps, I get $200 a month to live on.
Any other assistance?
For my oldest daughter, she gets $400, but that's her money. So yeah, so for her.
From what?
For AFDC.
So you get welfare.
Yes.
We're going to get there, Miss Rich. That's why we're not going through the family court, because if you went through the family court, what would happen is, Miss Rich, so that we all understand it, and I'm just as smart as you are, If you went to the family court and they made an order for him to pay $800 a month, let us say, for his children, they would take your daughter off AFDC.
No, because that's not his daughter. So whatever he pays for child
Just a second,
support,
where's the father of that other child?
he's court-ordered to pay AFDC.
I know all about AFDC. So you get $600 a month from him. You get $635 a month from SSI. You get $200 a month in food stamps, and you get $400 a month in welfare. So you get $1,835 a month.
When he pays me the
Just
child
a second.
support.
You get, well, then take him to court.
I am in the process of taking him to
Good.
court.
So you
But I
get
got-
I'm speaking. You get $1,835 a month, tax-free income so far. What do you earn, Mr. Wegener?
Monthly, about the same, about between $1,600 and $1,800 a month, but that's actually for working 40 hours a week.
Just a second. $1,600 and $1,800 a month.
Yes.
Okay. And out of that $1,600 or $1,800 a month, you send her $6.
Yes.
According to you.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Leaving you with between $1,000 a month
And $1,200.
and $1,200 a month
That's correct.
for yourself.
Yes. Which I also have debts of my own that I pay as well, and gas, because I live about an hour
I'm
away.
sure. So your financial arrangement is going to be resolved in a family court situation where each of you are going to present your bills. Each of you are going to present your outstanding loans and obligations. Family court judge, after they review your tax returns, the extent of the assistance that you're getting from various parts of the government, going to make a determination as to how much Mr. Wegener should be paying you in child support. And that child support will include any money that he perhaps might owe for outstanding child care expenses while his child or children were in daycare. I'm not interested in that, and I'm not interested in the $1,500 loan that you made to Heather Eusitis. Heather Eusitis can sue you or can sue Mr. Wegener. And I suggest that if she is a friend of yours, that she will probably sue Mr. Wegener. Now, what other utilities are you being billed for from the time that you lived together?
Right.
Just utilities.
I'm going to tell you what the utilities are, ma'am. The utilities is oil. I'm ordered to pay oil for when we lived together. That was the court ordered that from that. I have phone bill.
Just show me the bills.
Yep. That's the oil. That's the cable. That's the phone. And that's the cell phone and the check that from the grocery store.
Whose cell phone?
It was ours together. Well, it was in my name, but like we were together and we were using
Just
it.
a second. How many cell phones were there?
One.
Let me see it, Bert. This lady is not going to be happy. Verizon New England. What is that for?
That's the regular home phone.
For where?
For where we lived in Barry. That's from when we lived together in our apartment.
What was the address?
207. Our P.O. box was 135.
Did you live with her at this address, sir?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Did you know there was an outstanding bill of $381.75?
No, Your Honor, I did not. I was under the impression that most of the bills got paid.
That's not true.
Your payment is due in this office February 6, 2006. Show me proof that you paid it.
Proof that I paid
Show
it?
me proof that you paid it. A bill, a money order, a canceled check.
It
Not
came out of my
somebody
debit account. I might have it on my bank statement.
Good. Because all it has here is your handwriting, paid in full. That's your
Right,
handwriting.
that was the original bill. I have my credit report saying how much the original bill was for.
Listen to me very carefully, Miss Rich. You wrote here paid in full. Let
Right.
me see how you paid this $381.
I did it with a debit card. I have paid them in full with a debit card.
Show me from your bank account.
I don't think I have it in here. Hold on. I don't have my bank statement with that one on it. I don't, but I did.
You have something else here that says, I don't know what CBE Group is.
That's DirecTV when we lived in South Barry again.
Again, you have paid in full.
Right, they take it out of my accounts every month.
Paid in
automatically.
full, $421.06.
That was one of the bills I just paid off.
But you need proof that you paid this off.
See, they automatically took it out of my bank account, but it's still bills we incurred together.
Who's R.J. McDonald?
That's the oil company that we had in our apartment together.
Okay, there is a judgment entered against you for
Right.
$418.36.
I'm on a payment plan with them right now.
Okay. Is that a bill that you had together?
Yes, it was at the house we both lived at together, yes.
It is reasonable, therefore, that since you were kept warm with the oil that this provided, that you should pay half of it?
Well, to some extent, yes.
And to the other extent?
Basically, the fact that it was cranked up to 90 in the middle of winter when at the expense of this oil, after me asking her several times, we need to keep this down because we can't afford $500.
Listen to me.
To fill just a
Mr.
tank.
Wegener, if you didn't think she was a good mate, you shouldn't have moved to California with her and made another baby with her. But you don't come here and complain that you kept the house too hot a year and a half later. We understand each other, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
Good. I'm also going to tell you this, Mr. Wegener. You will be going to family court, and the family courts usually do not look kindly on people that circumvent, do sidestepping around the law so that people can collect money from AFDC, from Social Security, from food stamps and everything else, so they're not paying the full measure of their child support. What very well could happen to you is, despite the fact that you are sending, according to you, $600 a month, $300 every 2 weeks, is that the courts are going to say, that doesn't count, because you are responsible for part of this AFDC bill that we're sending into the House, and you are responsible for part of this food stamp that we're sending into the House. As a matter of fact, we're going to make you responsible for all the rest of it that the father of a first child isn't paying for. And they're not going to give you any credit at all. So I would suggest that you start saving your pennies and you formalize a payment situation with the family court so that you will know exactly what you're going to be getting from him every month, that it will come out of his salary if he doesn't pay it, that you can start regulating the payment of your bills, counting on some of it for him, that you probably, considering that he will be giving you more money, hopefully will be not receiving food stamps anymore. I don't know about AFDC for your family. I have no idea. Right now you receive almost $2,000 a month without working. That's a pretty good trick.
He's making it sound like it's $2,000 a month.
It's not him. You. I added up the figures you gave me.
The figures from SSI and AFDC doesn't add up to $2,000. They add up to like $1,000.
Madam, you gave me the figures.
Yes.
I added them up. Your SSI, your child's AFDC, your food stamps.
Right.
The $600 he sends you is $1,835
That's
a
when
month.
he sends those payments, though. I also got
Then
these
go to
bills in
court.
both of
Then
our
go to
names.
court. But you know, you risk, when you go to court, and you're well aware of this, certain state-subsidized benefits if you take him to court and have formalized an arrangement for child support that he's going to pay. You understand that, and I understand that. So stop crying, take him to court, and get the money that you're supposed to get for your children from him. And if that means that you have to give up certain other benefits, so be it.
I don't care about
That's
those
all.
benefits.
Good. Goodbye.
Your Honor,
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $209. Judgment for the plaintiff. That's all.
he loves his children. He's just...
Judge, parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat, huh?
Ms. Fennell, you and Mr. Young had a relationship, and you have 2 children.
Yes, Your Honor.
According to your complaint, the 2 of you separated sometime in 2004.
Yes, Your Honor.
At that time, there were 2 vehicles in your household.
Yes, ma'am.
You kept one, and according to you, continued to make the payments on it, made
Yes,
all the
ma'am.
payments on it, and Mr. Young kept one. It is your claim that Mr. Young took your vehicle without your permission 2 years later.
Yes, ma'am.
And in the vehicle was some personal property of yours.
Yes.
You managed to get the vehicle back with the help of the authorities. The property was missing. You want the value of the property, or the property. Mr. Young says that when you separated in 2004, he allowed you to borrow his truck because you needed a vehicle. He expected you to return it to him at some point when you were able to afford to get your own vehicle. You didn't do that, but instead, according to Mr. Young, sometime in 2005, you left your home, or the jurisdiction where you were living, without notifying him in advance, and took the children and the truck to a different state. He was able to locate you, he retrieved his truck, and he is counterclaiming because he says that when you took the truck back, you did so against his wishes, that the truck actually belongs to him and he wants it back.
Correct.
Okay. When in 2004 did you separate, Ms. Fennell?
January, Your Honor.
And it was an amicable separation?
No, ma'am.
Did you leave him or did he leave you?
I left him, Your Honor.
And where were you living at the time, in what state?
Missouri.
And you maintained a home together with the defendant in Missouri?
Yes, Your Honor.
For how long?
2 years, approximately.
How old were you?
3 years.
We actually purchased a house back in 2001.
Just a second. You purchased a house together in 2001?
No, ma'am.
I purchased a house in my name solely, and in 2001.
And you lived there with him?
Yes, ma'am.
So you lived there with him for 3 years?
Yes.
Now, you left him, and when you left him, you took one of the trucks. Now, in whose name was the truck that you took?
Both of ours.
Is that correct?
Yes.
And you left him a truck when you left?
No, I loaned her the truck. Okay.
You
I
had what?
I had the car.
You had the car. What kind of car did you have?
It was a 95 Ford Aspire.
Now, when you left in 2004, you remained in Missouri until when?
February of 2005, Your Honor.
And where did you go in February of 2005?
Kansas.
Who lives in Kansas?
My fiance.
Between January of 2004 and February of 2005, Mr. Young, did you see your children?
Yes, I did. I seen them all the way up until April.
April of?
2004. Or
2005.
2005.
Shh. Well, if she moved in February of 2005, where did you see them in April? In Kansas?
Actually, she met me 3 times, I do believe, with my kids when I'd get off work. And I'd actually pick them up and take them to my place after that.
So you did see them in April of 2005 after she moved to Kansas?
Actually, yes, I did.
Just answer the question.
Yes, I did.
I'm trying to get a timeline from you, sir. I read your answer. I'm trying to figure out what happened. So, when she moved, you continued to see the children?
Yes. Yes, Your Honor.
So you knew she was moving? Answer.
No.
Don't think about what you wrote.
No.
Don't think about how it's going to look. Just answer, Mr. Young, the questions, because if you give me a dishonest answer, I guarantee you it's going to be a very sorry afternoon for you. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I understand that.
So, if you saw the children up until April of 2005, then you knew she was moving.
Actually,
Your
I did
Honor,
not.
if
I did
I
not.
may.
I don't want you to speak until I ask you a question. Do you understand?
I understand, Your Honor.
Perfect. Go ahead.
I actually did not know that she moved because, like I said, she would meet me right around the surroundings of where I worked.
You mean between January of 2004 when she left, when you separated, and April of 2000, listen to my question,
Okay.
don't get the wheels moving. Between January of 2004 when she left and April of 2005, the routine was you would meet at some central location and exchange the children.
Correct.
So you didn't know that she moved to Kansas because she brought the children to the same location all the time?
Correct.
Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Don't say yes unless it's true.
Yes.
When did you find out that she moved to Kansas?
In the end of April.
How did you find out?
I would call her cell phone to get my kids, and she answered one day and said that I wasn't going to see the kids no more.
Really?
Really.
Why did you say that, Miss Fennell?
I didn't, Your Honor.
What did you say? If he was seeing the children from January of 2004 until April of 2005, and I believe him, something happened in April of 2005.
Yes, ma'am.
Why don't you tell me what it was?
He was seeing the children sporadically, once every 2 or 3 months, and I actually called him in
Your Honor.
April.
No, don't speak now.
And, at Easter, before Easter, and asked him if he would like to see the children. At that time, he told me no. My fiance and I went and bought the children Easter baskets, and when Mr. Young called me the day before Easter and told me that, yes, he did want to have the kids, and I said, okay, that's fine. And he did. And then, as usual, I called him the next weekend, and the next weekend, and the next weekend, and asked him if he would be using his visitation, and he would tell me, no, he was working, and he didn't
Don't
have
put your hand
time.
up.
Then in June, on Father's Day, I called Mr. Young once again and asked him if he would like to have his children on Father's Day. And he made the comment to me, well, it's Father's Day, isn't that my day off? And I said, look.
So are you telling me between April, Easter, when he had the children for the day,
Yes, ma'am.
and Father's Day,
No contact, Your Honor.
he did not call
No, ma'am.
the children?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Young,
Yes.
did you call your children between April, Easter, when you had the children? Because I believe her that she gave you the children on Easter and Father's Day. Did you contact your children?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
Tell me how.
I tried to contact her through the cell phone.
What do you mean you tried?
I would call her, and she either wouldn't answer my call, and eventually she'd shut her phone off completely.
I'm talking about between April and June.
No, I never did get to see my kids in that time because she was holding them from me.
Did you go to court, sir, between April and June, like May 1st, for visitation?
We actually had a court order on visitations of the kids March 1st of 04 until March 1st of 05. It was just a one-year visitation deal.
I never heard of a one-year visitation deal.
It only lasted 1 year because it was the result of an abuse stalking order that I had against Mr. Young.
I see. So there was an order of visitation that was made part of a protective order.
Yes, ma'am.
But there was no formal order of visitation other than that which was contained
That's
in the
correct.
protective order, which expired in March.
That's correct, Your Honor.
So I'm coming back to you, Mr. Young. When you didn't see your children in May, and according to you, you couldn't reach their mother, did you go to court to seek visitation with your children?
No, I could not
Why not?
because I couldn't afford an attorney.
You don't need an attorney to go to court, Mr. Young. You go to your local family court and you tell the clerk, I want to file an order of visitation for my children. Question is, did you go to court? The
No.
answer is no.
No.
If the father is interested in seeing their children regularly, they go to court. That's what they do.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Put your hand down, Miss Fiancée. You have nothing to say.
I'm his wife, Your Honor.
Put your hand down, Miss Wife. You have nothing to say.
Tricia Fennell claims the father of her children, Chad Young, refuses to sign over a Dodge Ram truck. Chad is countersuing for the return of the truck.
Is this your fiancée wife?
Yes, it is.
What is it?
It's my wife.
Your wife? When were you married?
July 29th of this year.
Did you buy her an engagement ring?
What's that?
Did you buy her an engagement ring?
Yes, I did.
How much you spent for it?
Like $300.
Have you been to court since, sir,
No.
to file for visitation with your children?
No.
Well, before I'd buy an engagement ring, Mr. Young, if you need the advice of a lawyer, I would spend $300 an hour for a lawyer and get some advice to file for visitation for my children. Mr.
See,
Young.
I have
Mr. Young, that's what I would do.
Everybody I've talked to has told me that I had to hire an attorney to have anything else done.
Who told you that? The butcher?
Child support?
No, let me ask you. The butcher?
No.
Courts cannot, sir, require you to have an attorney in order to see your children. It might be easier for you, but it would certainly be worth an hour of a lawyer's time.
Oh, I totally agree with you.
Good, so I would have saved the $300 on an engagement ring and gone to see a lawyer if I didn't see my children. So my sympathy for you was getting to be this much, where it was this much when I read your answer. You understand me?
Yes.
When I read your answer, it appeared as if she removed the children. You didn't see the children after that, but that's not true. You did see the children. She moved in February. You saw the children in February and March and April. She continued to bring them to a location so that you could see them, take them for visitation, until your life got a little busy. How much child support have you paid for your children in the last 2 years? Is not an answer.
I have not paid in the last year for some
In the
reason.
last
I don't know.
year?
Usually it comes out of my check, and they quit taking it out of my check.
Well, just a second.
changed
What? Shut
jobs.
up! What'd you think the children were eating from the last year?
What do you mean?
I don't know. So my sympathy for you is that much. Now, at some point, sir, you took this truck back that was in joint names.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Because she posted a deal on the internet saying that she was, had a chance to forge my signature on the title.
You didn't need the truck. You'd been without it for well over a year. It was in joint names. You had a car, she had a truck. You'd lived together for a long time. So, what's the big deal?
Because I've paid almost everything on that truck.
Well, show me. Show me that you've paid almost everything on the truck. Let me see. And at the same time, Ms. Fennell, I'd like you to show me that you paid whatever you paid on the truck.
Your Honor, this is a statement from the bank saying that the loan was in solely my name. These are the payments that I made. This is my payoff date there at the bottom. This is saying that I paid the taxes on the vehicle.
I don't care taxes. Don't tell me taxes. Not interested in taxes. Show your
I have a
checks.
receipt from the bank here for my final payment.
Well, just a second. How did you pay them?
$2,400. I went to the bank and asked them if I could get that proof, and they said because it had been so long that they could do that, but they would have to charge me $30 per hour for their manpower in it. And this is also the payment book, Your Honor, that I have to take to the bank and get initialed every payment that was made.
Just a second. Take this back, because I have absolutely no interest in this piece of whatever it is, because it's not evidence. It's nonsense.
You got anything?
The only thing that I have is I ain't got no proof of how the truck got paid.
You don't have any proof.
No, all I got is...
Look at me. You don't have any proof.
I mean, besides my pay, how much I was making back then.
I don't care what you were making back then.
Because I asked the bank the same thing also, and that's what they told me.
Okay. Mr. Young, now I have a document that indicates that these payments were made starting in January of 04 through February of 05. Now, I would like you to show me proof that you made payments, sir.
Like I said, I couldn't get the documents from my bank because they couldn't go back that far. Because I tried getting a printout of like my whole checking account back then, and they don't have that on.
This looks as if after she took the truck, she made the payments.
Right. That was.
Listen to me. After she took the truck, she made the payments. Put your hand down, Miss Fiancée. You have nothing to say.
I'm his wife, Your Honor.
Put your hand down, Miss Wife. You have nothing to say.
I also have evidence that Mr. Young signed his name off of the title of my truck and a notarized gift affidavit from Mr. Young that he did at the bank, Your Honor.
Let me see the notarized. I just want to see the notarized document from him.
Your Honor, that's.
This was made while...
That is a false document.
So you're accusing the notary here of a felony. Is that right, Mr. Young?
Yes, I am.
Just listen to me.
Yes, I am.
Just a minute. I just want to make sure, because I want to tell you something. by saying that, Mr. Young, if what you're saying is not true, and you are accusing in front of 10 million people, put down your papers! And you are accusing the notary public who put her commission seal on this document of committing a felony, I want to tell you that you are exposing yourself to substantial liability. Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
And an understanding that is what you're telling me, that the person who subscribed their seal to this document, which purportedly took your signature on a gift affidavit, committed perjury. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Young?
I've got the actual...
That would be a big
Yes, I've
mistake.
actually been talking to an attorney from...
Just a second. You've actually been talking to an attorney about what, sir? No.
About this forgery.
You've actually...
Yes.
Just a second. Where did you get an attorney to talk to about the forgery? On a 10-year-old truck, you've been talking to a lawyer about the forgery? Mm-hmm. Really?
Yep.
Did you have to pay the lawyer?
No.
No.
I just-
When you happen to have been there talking to the lawyer about your truck and the forgery, did you happen to ask the lawyer about visitation with
Yes,
your
I sure
children?
did.
Really? I
Yes, I
finally
did.
got there. Now, the reason you went to see the lawyer, and by the way, when did you go to see the lawyer?
It was about 3 weeks ago.
3 weeks ago. And when was the last time you saw your children?
About 2 years ago.
2 years ago. So let's see what happened. You bought your wife an engagement ring, and she looks like she's well cared for. And you didn't get to see a lawyer until 3 weeks ago, Mr. Young.
No, I've actually spoke to many lawyers when she did leave.
You did?
Yes, I did.
Well, that's a revelation, sir. You didn't tell me that before. Tell me when you spoke to a lawyer the first time about visitation.
The first time that she told me that she didn't want the kids in my life no more.
And when was that?
It was right after April in 2005. And
That's so interesting, Mr. Young. You told me that people told you that you needed a lawyer to go
Right.
to court. Why didn't you go to court?
Because
You said-
nobody told me any different. They always said that, or they all told me that I needed to go hire an attorney because there had been a paternity action done.
Okay, I got the drift of who everybody is. I got it. All comes together. Now, what items do you allege were in the truck when he took the truck? Because he went and took the truck and you ultimately got it
He's
back.
actually returned all of my items with the exception of one child's Game Boy.
One child's Game Boy? So
Yes.
what do you want? What do you want?
Actually, those were put in the paperwork before I maintained possession of the truck and my property again. So that's...
Okay, so you're withdrawing your claim?
Yes, ma'am.
You're
For the
withdrawing your
possessions.
claim?
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. So now all we have is a counterclaim.
Right.
All we have is a counterclaim. What do you want, sir?
I want her to sign her name off the title.
That's not going to happen because she paid for it. So she's not signing her name off the title. So you and your wife are just going to have to get along with your car.
Did she pay $16,000 for that truck?
I want to tell you something. You came here for judgment, and my judgment is that the affidavit of gift that she has signed and notarized is an affidavit that I'm prepared to accept, and that you made a gift to her of this truck, and that subsequent to your separation, she made the payments on it, and she brought the children to visit you with the children in your truck, and but for the fact that maybe you're being prodded by Miss Wife over here, we wouldn't be here today on your counterclaim. You get me? Do you get me?
Yes, ma'am.
Your counterclaim is dismissed. I would suggest that if you want to see your children, you pursue that with an attorney as viciously as you pursued getting back this 10-year-old truck. Anybody can be a father, sir, because it's very easy to make a baby. Put your hand down. What do you want him to do, sign that?
I would like him to sign the title.
Absolutely. Bird, he's going to sign that document. Tell him where to put his X.
And, ma'am, I also have charges. Sorry.
Once you sign that, Mr. Young, I will be finished with you.
Your signature of seller. Right there.
Now, as far as the Game Boy is concerned, or any other nonsense that was in your truck?
No, ma'am,
get
there are
What?
other things. We had to have the ignition replaced because we didn't have a key. There's damage to the truck when I got it back.
Get over it.
Okay.
Got it?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. You have your truck.
Yes, ma'am.
You have your responsibilities. You live up to your responsibilities, and you'll get a little more sympathy from a court. That's all.
All rise.
Now, this is case number 570 on the calendar, the matter of Reeves versus Helms.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Ms. Reeves, it is your claim that the defendant assaulted you while you were a guest in her home.
That's correct.
Ms. Helms' defense is that she was justified in her conduct because you were an invited guest in her home. She found you messing around with her husband. She is counterclaiming, claiming emotional distress that you caused her. She subsequently divorced, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And she had criminal charges pending
Yes, ma'am.
against her. So she's counterclaiming for her stress and aggravation.
Yes.
When were you invited to her home?
On November the 18th of 2006.
Had you ever met her before?
No,
Who invited you to the house?
her brother-in-law.
And were you having some sort of a gathering there?
They always watch the game at the house, football game.
All right. What time did you arrive at the house?
It was dark. It was approximately 6.
Had you
I
been
would
drinking?
say. No, ma'am. I drove
they-
an hour from home to get there.
Was there drinking at the party?
Yes.
Was
but-
everybody pretty well sauced by the time you got there?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, that's what I
She got there
gathered.
at halftime. She was sauce when she got there.
I'll get to you. I gather from reading the paper that everybody was pretty well sauced at the
Yes,
house.
ma'am.
Not everybody.
Well, how many people were at the house?
Probably up to 15.
And of the 15 people that were there, name the people that weren't sauced.
Everyone that was under 21.
Right. Okay, so what happened when you got there?
I got there. Everyone was wasted. The baby needed diapers. She had a bunch of grandbabies there.
How many grandchildren were at your house?
5.
Okay, go ahead.
They were too drunk to drive. So I took her daughter to the store to buy Pampers for the baby.
That's a lie.
When
I don't
got
want you to
there.
answer her.
We got back. We had juice.
Which daughter?
The 22-year-old, the 21-year-old, the
Was
youngest
that you?
one.
You raised your hand, right?
That was me.
She took you to the store to get Pampers?
She didn't take me to the store to get Pampers. She took me to the store to get orange juice so I could
Okay.
fix her some salty dolls.
Fine, fine. So she took you to the store.
She took me to the grocery store.
Good.
I got back and we watched the rest of the football game. People started passing out. They just started dropping like flies.
Could you move on, madam? I have other cases to do today.
Lies, everybody left at 11 o'clock.
Miss Helms, you have to behave yourself.
Yes, ma'am.
No one left. Everyone was there. I was the only one that was awake. I got up. I went to the restroom. The only working restroom in their house is in the master bedroom. I walked through there. Her husband had 2 or 3 grandbabies in the bed with him. I used the restroom. I came out and I woke him up.
How did you
Why
wake
did you
him up?
wake
Just
him
by
up?
going into the restroom? Miss
Just-
Helms, if you speak out again while it's not your turn, the case will be over and you will have lost. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, because I had flushed the toilet and the light was still on. And it woke him up and he asked me where everyone was at. And I said, well, they're in the living room. I said, they're on pallets and whatnot. Well, I walked outside their house. I left my cigarettes outside in their pool room. Well, I went outside to smoke a cigarette. Well, her husband followed me outside. And they have like a wood-burning stove. And he asked me if I was cold. And I said, no. And he said, well, let me put some wood in it anyway. I thought, fine then. I was sitting on the pool table. Well, she comes in, she's like, are you trying to F my husband? And then all of a sudden, I got blindsided with a piece of firewood that broke my nose. Okay. I have pictures.
I'd like to see them, please.
And then she assaulted him that night also. It resulted from 16 stitches in my face.
I see.
She hit me between 7 and 10 times in the face.
Who called the police?
I couldn't find she knocked me out of my shoes that I was wearing. And so I went barefooted running. My keys were in her house. I grabbed my keys. I was bleeding. She ran in after me. You tried to...
Would you just answer my question? I said to you, listen to me.
I know.
What was my question?
How did I leave?
No. Try again.
I ran in her house to get my
I
keys.
said my question was, who called the police?
I did.
That's the answer. Where were you when you called the police?
I had to run in her house, grab my keys. She wouldn't let me go.
Listen to me. I asked you a simple question.
I was at a car wash.
So from the house, you went to a car wash and called the police?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have a police report?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see it. Who is this?
That's my husband.
How long have you been married?
Almost 8 years.
Was he with you at the party on the 18th?
No, ma'am. He had a prior engagement.
What was his prior engagement?
His boss had invited him to his house
For
the football game, and he accepted
just
it.
the guys without wives?
Well, I could have went too, but
what?
I made a bad mistake, and I went the other place.
I note that the police officer, Ms. Helms, who took this report, noted that everyone had been drinking.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone. Had you been drinking?
I had one drink.
My question was,
Yes,
had you
ma'am.
been drinking?
Yes.
That's what the police officer said.
They never came to the house. There was a statement after she gave it at the hospital.
Then he must be like Karnak. You can tell things without actually seeing them. But you had been drinking. Now, did you assault Miss Reeves?
Yes.
Did you assault Miss Reeves with firewood?
Yes.
At the time you hit Miss Reeves with the firewood, was she attempting to assault you?
No, she was pulling her pants up.
So you were not in any physical danger when you assaulted her, which would have
No,
been...
I just lost it when I seen them pulling their pants up out in the garage.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I don't know why he came in there. He may have.
Oh, well, you don't know why. I know why he came in.
That's not my problem. That's her problem.
And later today,
So there's a couple of good stories that you made up that you just told me. You better tell me the truth. If you don't, I'm going to embarrass you. Pregnant, not pregnant, I don't care. Do you understand?
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Stephanie Reeves claims party host Betty Helms hit her across the face with firewood. Betty claims Stephanie was with her husband. She is countersuing for emotional distress.
So, Ms. Helms, there is no excuse for assaulting someone.
I just lost
because
it.
they're fooling around with you. There's no such defense as losing it. And I can understand you, if what you say is true, that they were fooling around in the pool room.
And in the
she and your
bedroom.
husband, wherever they were fooling around.
With the
I don't
grandbaby
care.
in
I
there.
don't care. I don't even like the picture that it's fomenting in my mind of it. If it's true, what'd you hit her for?
Because she stood in my face and told me that my husband was coming on to her first. And I just lost it.
Just a second. You lost it with just her?
No, and I lost it with him. I mean,
Oh, well, that, you know, I mean, although that's not an excuse, I can almost understand that. You know, from a legal perspective, that's not an excuse. But at least you have a contract with your husband. How long were you married?
11 years.
Married to this guy 11 years, shared a house with him, and he disrespects you in your home with a perfect
Why would she
stranger.
get with another man?
With a perfect
And
stranger.
she's supposed to be married.
Listen to me. She doesn't have a contract with you. He does.
What she did with him.
That's his problem. That's not your
That's right.
problem. That's his problem. Now, do you think that I believe, madam, that the husband got up out of bed where he was lying with his grandbabies, passed out, to follow you into the pool room so he could make you warm with firewood?
She woke
I
him
don't
up.
know why.
I'm speaking! Do you think that I believe that?
I don't know why he came in there. He may have.
Oh,
came in.
well, you don't know why. I know why.
Well, that's not like you said. That's not my problem.
I know why. He came in.
That's not my problem. That's her problem.
Listen to me. It was her problem and her husband's problem, but if you think that I believe your story, I don't. Now, that doesn't mean that she's allowed to assault you.
Exactly.
You know, you could have been going at it with the Energizer Bunny.
May
And
I-
it wouldn't have made any difference to me as a jurist whether or
Right.
not she has the right to assault
May
you.
I show
She
you-
doesn't have the right to assault you.
Exactly. May I add something to that?
Sure.
She said we were pulling up our pants. This is the actual outfit that I had on that
Where's your
night.
vest?
I don't.
Okay, I'm sorry.
These are the pants I had on.
So?
If my pants were off, then how did they get covered in blood from my face?
Listen to me, madam. If you think that I believe that her husband got up out of bed where he was comfortably passed out with his grandchildren, it's another lovely picture that I'm seeing, and followed you into the pool room to make sure you were warm so that he could put wood on the fire, I don't believe it. Maybe your husband believes it. Maybe you even made it up so that you believe it yourself. But the truth of the matter is, that's a lot of baloney. Everyone had had a little bit too much to drink in that house, and you're partially responsible for that.
I didn't
Because
invite
if you don't have to invite her. People are not supposed to drink to the extent where they get so drunk that they pass out on a bed with grandchildren. That's not supposed to happen. That's not civilized behavior.
True.
I don't care where you're from. Now, what were your medical bills?
$4,139.83.
Let me see. What kind of work do you do?
Right now, I don't do anything.
And what kind of work does he do?
He's a truck driver.
Does he have health insurance as a truck driver?
Yes, ma'am.
So did the health insurance cover some of these bills?
Covers part of it.
Well, how much was not covered?
It's all in there, what was not covered.
Listen to me. I want to see the statement that they send you after the insurance pays whatever portion they're going to pay, and you say that that's in there. Show me.
Well, the $3,000 one I hadn't paid yet.
Well, your insurance should have paid it.
That's the part they wouldn't pay.
Well, show me where the insurance company says they're not going to pay that.
See here,
You'd had a lot to drink that night, according to the emergency room nurse.
I had 4 beers that night, Your Honor.
Yeah, right. Bert, is there a synopsis of what the insurance company paid and not?
According to this page here.
No, madam, you have to submit this bill to your insurance carrier because the current hospital charges were $3,083. And it says the amount paid by insurance, 0. Well, the insurance will pay this as long as you send them the bill. Maybe it's just pending. You understand? I'm smarter than you are.
Well, it's an accident.
Ms. Rees, you're suing the defendant for $5,000. I am disinclined to award you $5,000. I believe that you behaved very badly that day, and I believe that while the defense that Ms. Helms is trying to use in a civil proceeding of she just lost it, there's really no defense whatsoever. In a criminal proceeding, not extreme emotional distress, she just was so angry she couldn't control herself. And the fact that she was absolutely taken aback by what she saw on that evening. I do, however, think that she has to be responsible for her actions. She has to be responsible to the extent that any unreimbursed medical bills she has to be responsible for. So if your total medical bills are about $4,000, I am going to suggest that probably 20% of that will not be covered by your insurance. That would be $800. And I'm going to round that out for good measure to $1,000. That's what you're entitled to. And the next time you're a guest in somebody's house, you're supposed to behave yourself. That's all. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,000.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Her husband is about 60 years old.
I thought it was closed out the door and put the refrigerator in front of the door so he couldn't come back in.
I'm 27 years old.
She probably done me a good favor.
Why would she feel with somebody else when she's got this?
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Raskowski versus Nees. Step forward, please.
Edward Ruskowski is suing 23-year-old Jody Nees for backing into his BMW in a video store parking lot.
Mr. Raskowski, your car was parked in a parking lot.
Yes, ma'am.
According to your complaint, the defendant hit your car while it was in the parking lot.
Yeah, that's true.
Top of everything else, Ms. Nees does not have insurance, or did not have insurance on the day this incident happened with her car. You want her to be responsible for all the damage. Ms. Nees says it's not her fault that she hit your car because her daughter was choking. That's your defense. What is your defense to not having insurance?
I mailed my payment in 2 days late, so when they received it, they already sent me a letter in the mail saying it was canceled, and I did not get that mail until I got home about an hour before I went to
Why
the
did you
video
mail
store.
your insurance payment in late?
Because I ended up being out of town, and when the bill came in, it was already too late. And usually I'm always on time with my bills.
But this time.
Sure. There's no excuse for not having your insurance. They always send you your bills well in advance. Where were you out of town?
I was visiting my grandma.
You know something? I believe only a third of what you've said so far. I believe that you hit his car. I believe that you had no insurance. I believe nothing else that you said to me. And I'm a really good judge of that. So there's a couple of good stories that you made up that you just told me. So we're going to come back to the other questions that I'm going to ask you, and you better tell me the truth. If you don't, I'm going to embarrass you. Pregnant, not pregnant, I don't care. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Do you understand? Good. Okay. Because I believe when somebody does something wrong, they're supposed to accept responsibility for what they do. Now, how did you hit his car?
I was pulling out of the parking space with my
Pulling out
daughter.
of a parking space, what store had you been in?
The video store.
What was the name of the video that you got from the video store?
Bambi.
That's the third thing I don't believe. Now, so you're pulling out of the video store after you got a copy of something that I only believe maybe 10% might have been Bambi. And what happened?
I put my daughter in the car. We were about to leave. We start pulling out of the parking lot. She starts choking. So my first reaction is I turn around, check on her. My foot slipped off the brake, and I ran into his car.
So whose fault is that?
Mine.
Good! That's the first good thing you said. So you're responsible for the damage to his car.
Yes.
And you have no insurance. So if you're responsible for the damage to his car and you have no insurance, you have to pay for the damage to his car. Now, can I see the pictures of the car, please?
Pictures right here,
and can I see the estimates? Who are you?
I am her husband, Kevin.
Stand up. You're the one that didn't send the insurance in? You were visiting her grandma, too? Hey, where do you work?
I'm a manager of a Pizza Hut.
Where?
In Hammond.
How many Pizza Huts are there in Hammond, Indiana?
One.
One. If I were to call the only Pizza Hut in Hammond, Indiana, would they tell me you were working on or about August 6th, or that you were away?
Yes, but no.
Yes, but...
At that time, Judge, I was working at a different Pizza Hut in Griffith, Indiana.
If I were to call the Pizza Hut where you were working in August of 2006, would they tell me you were there?
They would tell you I was not there, Judge.
Where were you?
I was at her grandmother's house.
For how long?
For approximately 4 days, Judge.
4 days. Hardly enough time for insurance to be canceled. Right, Mr. Nees?
I'm not an insurance agent. I have no idea.
Well, how old are you?
I'm 21.
I'm slightly older. They don't cancel insurance in 4 days. Have anything else you want to say to me?
The only thing that I would like to say is we know we're responsible for the damages to his car.
So why didn't you pay him?
But I don't think it's $1,700 damage to his car.
Listen, sir, take a look at the photographs, and I'm telling you, no body work on a car is cheap. That's a lot of body work on that car. And you're 21 years old, and I'm only slightly older than you are. So I am here to tell you, Mr. Nees, that that's at least $1,739 worth of damage to his car. It's a bargain.
Yeah, Judge.
Is there anything that I said that you don't agree with, sir?
Well, I'm just... Oh, no, you're right.
Then just
Absolutely.
be quiet. All right, judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,000.
323 on the calendar, the matter of Williams versus Grooming Dales. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Mrs. Williams, you took your dog into the defendant's grooming establishment, and it is your claim that he abused you, he abused your dog, you had to take the dog someplace else to be finished, and you're suing him for several $100s. Miss Williams, what kind of a dog do you have?
A miniature schnauzer.
How long have you had the dog?
She's probably about 1.5 years old.
How many times have you had her groomed?
I had always groomed her myself. This was the first time she's ever been done professionally.
Okay, and why did you decide to have her done professionally this time?
She had been bitten by a brown recluse, and
What's a brown recluse?
A spider. She had a spider bite on her neck. Once we
Okay.
got her all well from the spider bite, we had decided that we wanted to take her to get a special treatment, just for her pain and suffering, for her own kind of thing, to make her feel pretty for a change.
Dogs don't know when they don't look pretty.
Well, we did.
They don't know if they're not pretty.
Well, their
me, I'm
little
not a
pink
dog
bows
guy.
and their polished nails.
They don't care about polished nails. Anyway, where do you live?
In Spring Hill, Tennessee.
So, how did you find Mr. Loeb's grooming salon?
I had gotten a paper in the mail.
Okay, from one of these freebies that you get in the mail.
Yes.
Good. You called him and said you wanted to bring the dog in immediately.
Well, I told him that I saw his paper, and I explained to him that I would only be down in Columbia for a short period of time. Would it be possible to get her in and out of the time that I wanted?
So he said, fine, bring the dog in.
Well, first he told me that it wasn't possible for the hours that I needed to get done. Told him, okay, thanks for the call. He had a cute article in the paper, and I wished him well with his business. After that, he was like, well, let me think about this and see how we can do it. I can probably even schedule you an appointment so he could get the business. So I was grateful for the opportunity. He was willing to work with me, so I was certainly willing to take the dog for the drive.
So you had a 3-hour window, according to what I read in your paper?
Yes.
Okay. And what did you say to Mr. Loeb when you got there?
I told him that we would be back at about 12:30 to pick her up. He took down my phone number, and when we left, he called my cell phone to confirm that this was the dog that he had to have out within the 3 hours. Told him that, yes, that was her. He said, great, he'd see me about 12:30. So when I came back at actually about 12:45, I just asked him if the dog was ready. He was outside having ice cream, so I assumed that she was ready. And he said no, that he had washed the dogs in the morning, and they were still drying. And I told him, I said, you are aware of the time? And he said, can you give me another 20 minutes? I said, sure, I can do another 20 minutes, but understand that's cutting it very close. So he said, okay, fine. I left for about 20 minutes, and I came back, and he came out behind the partition and asked me, how did I want her cut? told her she's a miniature Schnauzer we had discussed in the morning. I wanted a miniature Schnauzer cut. And I told him, I said, you are aware that we are already behind and that I don't have much time left, and when it comes time that I have to go, I have to go. He said he's aware of that. He's doing the best that he could do. He was behind the partition. I could hear him back there. I mean, he was being very rude to my dog.
How was he being rude to your dog?
He was, I mean, the way he was, it was like, stop it, stop it. And whenever I got there in the morning, I explained, he asked me what kind of a temperament she had. I told him that I had always groomed her and I put a muzzle on her myself, that I would recommend and suggest that he do the same thing. When I got there, he told me that my dog did not behave. And I asked him, I said, what dog do you know that hops up on the table and says, please give me a haircut? I mean, I expected her to not have a good time with the clippers against her.
Miss Williams, I thought you told me a moment ago that you were taking this dog in as a special treat for her.
Yes.
Because she had a spider bite, so you wanted to give her a special treat.
Right.
Well, dogs are used to having you groom her, so you take her to a stranger, and you just said to me, what dog do you know that likes to have a clippers taken to? So this wasn't a special treat for the dog, this was a special treat for you.
I guess, so to see her look pretty.
Well, I'm just telling you, it's a special treat for you. Okay, so let's move on. So when he's talking rudely to the dog, go ahead.
Well, he was obviously irritated with me outside when I asked him, since he was outside eating ice cream, I assumed my dog was done. That's when the obvious irritation with him started. When we were inside, I would tell him, you know, this is how long it's been, how much longer is it going to be? A few more minutes, a few more minutes.
Is that the way you was talking to him? You said, how much longer is it going to be, just that way?
Yes, I was not, at this point, I wasn't rude
and he
or
said,
upset.
And he said just a few more minutes?
Yes.
Just a few more minutes. Okay, so?
So I waited a few more minutes and it still wasn't done.
Okay.
And then when it came down to that very last moment where I knew that even if I caught a long red light, I was going to be late. So I just told him, I said, whether she's done or not, I have to take her with me now.
Okay.
So he put her down and he gave her to me, and she was a mess. I mean, she just looked like she had not had a bath. She had puffs of hair on her where there was not other puffs of hair. She was just a mess.
Okay, she wasn't finished. So
Yes.
what's next?
I offered to pay half the bill. I mean, he did half the work. And he said, no, just take your dog and get out of here. And don't ever come back.
Okay.
I mean, he was very rude to me.
Okay, so he told you to take your dog and go and don't come back.
Right.
So-
As we were leaving out of the store with the dog, he came running out behind us, hollering obscenities behind us. I took the dog, went straight to my car to lock the door because I did not feel safe. I mean, for him to chase me out of the store. When we got in the car, I realized that my dog's eye was swollen. And then when I got home, both of them were swollen shut. So I called my husband and I explained to him the incident that happened at the store, the fact that the dog was hurt, and we had decided that she had to go to the vet. He called himself to talk to the groomer to find out what happened.
Well, what conversation did you have with him, Mr. Williams?
Well, I called him and I tried to talk to him. I said, hey, what's going on? What happened with the dog? Well, this guy here, he was really rude. He was loud. He was yelling at me on the phone, and I called to inquire about the services that he had done for the dog.
What were you calling to inquire about?
To find out what happened, why she didn't get groomed,
Oh, well,
why
that's
my
what-
wife was upset.
Just a second. What does he care why your wife is upset? I don't understand why you called him. Now, if you said to me, I called him because the dog's eyes were shut and I didn't know what happened, if that's the first thing you said to me, Mr. Williams, then I would say, well, that's legitimate. If you take a dog in, and even if it's not groomed the way you like it, and you take the dog half groomed and you leave, so he didn't charge you. He just said, take the dog. You're nutty. I don't want to deal with you or your dog anymore. There's no reason to call him. But if you're calling to inquire as to the eyes, that would have been the first thing you told me.
Right.
But that wasn't the first thing you
wasn't.
told me.
No, ma'am.
Why not?
Well, she was upset. She called me.
Who cares if she's upset? He doesn't care if your wife's upset. Only you care.
Right. So I
So
wanted
what?
to figure out what had happened to make her upset and what
Who
happened with the dog.
Who
She said
cares?
that she was in pain, that she was not feeling well, that it didn't go well. She had a bad experience.
Who, she or the dog?
My wife did.
And
Not the dog.
Listen to me. Get over it. How old are you?
30.
Get over it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I don't know whether she was mad at me, got in the car, slapped the dog across the head.
No,
I don't know.
Mr. Lowe. Didn't happen.
And later today,
Listen to me very carefully. It doesn't belong to you. It's not your desk.
Who says it's her desk?
I do.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Catherine Williams and her husband Marcus claim dog groomer Don Logue Jr. abused their miniature Schnauzer. Don says Catherine was a nightmare customer.
Okay. Have a vet bill for me to look at and a diagnosis of the eyes?
I do.
Jeez.
I have pictures of the dog as well.
Did you put some sort of cream in the dog's eyes for grooming?
No, ma'am.
What did you use to wash the dog?
We use a cream rinse shampoo, conditioner. The head area is washed with a baby shampoo. It's a tearless, non-toxic shampoo.
Well, evidently this dog did not react well to your tearless shampoo.
I don't know what happened after she left the facility. I don't know whether she was mad at me, got in the car, slapped the dog across the head.
No, Mr. Logue, listen to me very carefully, sir. That's not what happened. How much after you took the dog out of the grooming salon, Miss Williams, did you take the dog to the vet?
I got her in that day. It was the first opening they had was like 4:45.
Okay, let me tell you, before we get on with this, I'm not interested if Mrs. Williams didn't have a good experience at your grooming salon.
Yes, ma'am.
And if her husband is interested in whether or not she was upset and wasn't feeling well, that's his problem. My problem is with the dog. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand?
Yes.
You're a big girl. You're 30 years old. You had a bad experience with a merchant? You don't go back there.
Right. I would have understood that if my dog hadn't been hurt. I would have just never gone back. It would have not been an issue any further.
Well, but my problem is your husband. When your husband called him, your husband didn't call him and say to him, "You hurt my dog."
Well, I did.
No, the first thing
The first thing I told you that, but I did talk to him about that.
Listen to me. Listen to me.
Okay.
Stop poking him. He can speak for himself. Move over. Put your hand down. The first thing you said you discussed with him was your wife's emotional state.
Right.
And I'm telling you, that's not his business.
Right. But we did discuss the dog because I picked her out when she was a baby. That's my baby there. That was the first dog I ever
Then that
had.
would have been the first thing I would have
And
talked about, not my wife not
When
being
she
happy.
called me to see what's up, I had to see both sides of the story. I just can't sit and take her side. I want to know what happened. So when I called him to see what happened, he gave me his side of the story. And after he hung up with me, he called me back to complain to my manager for me calling and complaining about the services that were done on my dog. I thought that was ridiculous. If I get a hamburger at Wendy's, it's not done right, and I go back and complain, they don't call me back and say, well, we're complaining because your hamburger was wrong. I mean, you don't do that.
Mr. Williams, explain something to you, sir. Your wife called you very upset, which made you upset. So you called him upset. He says, well, I would have to deal with this. I dealt with this lady. She wanted fast service. I gave her fast service, fast lousy service, Mr. Logue, but fast service. I didn't charge her for taking care of her dog. I didn't take such good care of her dog, which is a good reason not to charge her for taking care of the dog. You got the wrong groomer. There's no reason to call him. None. Just make yourself feel better. In any event, you did a bad job, Mr. Logue. I'm a pet lover.
Me too.
And I've been to good groomers, and I've been to groomers that take shears and cut a little too close in very sensitive places, which is what the vet said happened here. I've seen what that can do to a dog. The dog clearly had an adverse reaction to whatever shampoo you were using. Miss Williams, the dog wasn't going to react well to a groomer because she had been used to being groomed by you. That doesn't mean Mr. Logue did a good job. He did not. He was not careful enough with this dog. I'll hear you.
Yes, ma'am.
Because this vet doesn't have any axe to grind, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Go.
Ma'am, I groom dozens of miniature schnauzers.
So?
The underside of the dog, around the abdomen area, it's shaved the same way every time. I didn't see any clipper burn on the dog at all. There was no
The
clipper
vet
burn
did.
when he left it.
Let me tell
when
you
he left.
something, sir. I credit what the vet says in the vet's report. The vet says that both eyes were inflamed, excessive tearing. It says no ulcerations were found in the corneas. So this is clearly just an irritation from whatever you used on the dog, whatever shampoo that you used. Maybe the dog was allergic to the shampoo that you used. That's possible, but that happened. There was also a clipper burn present around her vulva.
Yes, ma'am.
That comes from you.
I don't know whether Miss Williams took her home. She said she's groomed this dog before. I don't know whether she took the
Mr. Lowe,
clippers to him or what.
didn't happen. Didn't happen. It happened at your establishment. She didn't take the dog home and look at the dog that's eyes are closed shut, clearly in distress, and decide to shave her. That doesn't make common sense. The only thing Miss Williams has is tends to go on a little bit, you know, tends to be a little verbal, but she's not crazy. You are responsible for her vet bills. Not necessarily to regroom the dog. I assume you're going to be smart and continue to groom the dog yourself from now on, because at 1.5 years old, it's very hard to retrain a dog to go to a groomer. Should have done that when the dog was a puppy. Then what?
The dog was very uncooperative.
Of course.
It was very hard to groom, and she stood outside in my foyer with her 5-year-old kicking my wall, and the dog went even more nuts. I tried and tried to get this dog groomed.
Then what you should have done, sir, is taken the dog and said, I can't groom your dog.
When she called me a D word, and I don't mean Dallas, I gave her the dog.
Oh, I believe that she cursed at you. You did, right?
I did.
She brought a friend with her.
I mean, I know you did, because that sounds really sweet, but I know that you cursed at him.
I did. After I became irritated, I did.
Well, did he curse at you first?
No, he didn't use a curse word.
No.
He was rude to me first.
He was rude to you. He was rude to your dog. Get over it. You're 30 years old.
I
But you
understand that.
cursed at him because you were very fast to tell me that he came out after you, cursing at you.
Yes.
Right? But you didn't tell me I cursed at him.
I did say one curse word.
What?
Ma'am, it's 5 years as a police officer. I don't chase people outdoors attempting to assault people. I'm a former
I can
officer.
imagine she irritated you, sir. You have to take care of her vet bills. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $70. That's all. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She had a 5-year-old child with her, and the child was kicking the walls, disturbing the dog.
My 3-year-old was playing in the lobby while we were waiting longer than we were supposed to get my dog back.
It was just a wild situation.
I think that it was an unfortunate situation.
I don't know what she did with the dog or to the dog or how much time went by after she left my facility.
I did not hurt my dog myself. My dog left his shop hurt.
That dog was fine when that dog left my facility.
He just didn't handle it the right way.
If I see her face coming toward my door again, I'm going to lock it.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Callahan versus Colarusso, step forward, please.
Business owner Dawn Callahan is suing her father's ex-girlfriend, homemaker Dee Colarusso, for the return of her late mother's desk. Dee claims the desk was abandoned.
Miss Callahan, Miss Colarusso was your father's former girlfriend.
Correct.
According to your complaint, your father has a desk that belonged to your mother, who passed away, and the desk was to be yours. He was bringing it to you. And he stopped over at his girlfriend's house, and for some reason he left his truck there for a while and the desk. They subsequently broke up. She has your desk. You want it back.
Yes.
You have a picture of the desk?
No, I don't.
Do you?
No, certainly.
I'd like to see it, please. Oh, it's a pretty little lady's desk.
Yes.
Where is it, in your living room?
No, it's upstairs in my bedroom.
How long do you know Miss Callahan?
I'd say approximately a year and a half. Year.
Is she a nice person?
At times.
When did your mother pass away?
April 26, 2002.
Was this her desk?
Yes, it was.
Did you tell Miss Colarusso that it was your mother's desk?
Yes, I did.
When did she tell you that?
To my recollection, I had never heard anything about it except that Lynn moved it into my home 2 months after he moved into my home.
He did?
Yes, and left it in my garage.
Yes.
It proceeded to get mildew, all kinds of markings, and all the rest of it. I had a couple of friends come in, empty it out, put the stuff into a green bag to lighten it so they could move it upstairs into my upstairs apartment, and they did so. So now it's been receiving much better care.
Well, that's very nice, but it's not your desk.
Well, I consider it storage fee.
I don't care what you consider it. You had a storage arrangement with him?
No.
Well,
Not
if you
with
didn't have a storage arrangement with him, my dear, then you can't say I'm taking the desk for storage fee.
I took his car for storage fee.
Listen to me very carefully. It doesn't belong to you. It's not your desk. Romance is over? It's over. You can't just decide you're going to protect the property that doesn't belong to you and then say, somebody says, I want my desk back. You say, well, I took it upstairs and I've been taking care of it, so now it's mine. You have to give her back the desk 5 days from today. Make arrangements with the mover. You want to leave the desk upstairs and have her mover bring it downstairs, or you want your mover to bring it downstairs?
Who says it's her desk?
I do! Now, that's her father. Whose desk is it?
My daughter's desk.
Right. Belonged to her mother. She wants her mother's desk because she doesn't want you to have it. And it holds absolutely no sentimental value for you whatsoever, just mad value because you're not together with the prize package anymore. She gets a desk back in 5 days. I'll sign the order. That's it.
Excuse me?
What?
My paperwork, all my mother's legal paperwork that was inside there, 401ks and everything.
I don't know where that is. Where is it?
Gone.
What did you do with it?
It went out with the trash. All the trash that Lenny had dumped.
It's gone. Listen to me. It's probably gone. She's not nice. She's probably mad. Did he dump her?
In a nice way.
I don't care whether it's a nice way. It's never a nice way to a lady to get dumped. Did he dump her?
Yes.
That's what she did with your mother's stuff that was inside the desk.
Okay.
Dumped it. Got it?
Okay.
The desk you get back, 5 days.
Okay.
And it better be in good condition. That's all.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Boudreau versus Kessler. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated, sir. Have a
Thank you.
seat. You're welcome, Judge.
Mr. Boudreau, you and Ms. Kessler were involved in a relationship, according to what I read in your complaint, for a period of time, and did in fact live together.
Yes, Your Honor.
I believe she moved in with you,
Yes.
and you have children?
Yes, I do.
How many children?
I have a total of 4, and I have 2 that live with me.
So you moved in with Mr. Boudreau with your 2 children?
Actually, we got the place together. He was living at the time with his parents.
Did you sign a lease together?
I was the main person on the lease.
Then the answer is only you signed the lease.
All our information was on there. For
Who
insurance.
signed the lease? Raise your hand.
Both of us did.
Great. As joint tenants?
Yes.
Now, it is your complaint, Mr. Boudreau, that after the 2 of you separated, Ms. Kessler went to a joint bank account and she withdrew some money. That's
Yes.
$1,600.
Yes.
And she had not put that money into the account. That was your money, because
Correct.
this was sometime after you had separated that she closed the account.
Yes.
Ms. Kessler has a variety of reasons why she believes she was entitled to that money, and she's going to explain that to me. When did you move into this apartment together?
November 22nd of 2003.
And when did you move out of the apartment?
May 14th, 2005.
So you lived together for some period of time.
Yes, ma'am.
And your arrangement was, according to what I read, that each of you would put in $800 a month to cover your household expenses.
Correct. Correct.
When was the last time you put money in that account, Ms. Kessler?
April 3rd.
April of 2005.
2005. I apologize.
At that time, you were still living there, so that $800 covered May rent.
Actually, that was for April's rent and bills.
Is that right?
Yes.
What was the rent?
$1,100.
And you had gas, electric, cable,
Correct.
whatever. So I would assume that at the end of each month, there wasn't much left over from this $800 a month. That $800 a month just pretty much covered the bills
Some
for each
months,
month.
yes.
Okay, good. Now, when did you withdraw this money, Ms. Kessler, from the account?
When I took it all out, it was in June.
Now, Ms. Kessler, you knew that in June of 2005, it had been 2 months since you put any money into the account. And if there was money in the account, it was money that Mr. Boudreau had put in the account. Is that right?
Correct.
So now the ball is in your court, madam, to explain to me why you believe you're entitled to that money.
There were various months, which I have all written out here, that I put in over the $800 to cover the bills, and some months I put in extra to cover the rent because Mr. Boudreau was not working. And Mr. Boudreau also stated that when we moved with him to North Carolina, that if we were not happy, he would pay to move us back to North Carolina. I ended up having to pay to move myself back here. My son was a witness to a lot of these conversations, that's why he is here. But I ended up putting over $2,270 extra in that account to cover bills.
How much extra did Mr. Boudreau put in the account some months?
None.
What you're saying to me, twofold. Just listen to me. What you're saying to me is twofold. That the reason you took that money out, stop playing with your papers, Mr. Boudreau.
Oh.
The reason you took that money out of the account is twofold. A, because you thought you put in more than your fair share during the course of the 1.5 years that you were living together. That's one. And two, if I don't buy that argument, you had to spend money to move you and your family back home, despite the fact that Mr. Boudreau had said that if things didn't work out, he would pay for your moving.
Yes.
Is there any other reason that you want to offer me why you closed that account and took out
Because
the
I
money?
wanted my name off of that account.
Okay. Is that the primary reason why you went to the bank?
I sent them a letter to close the account.
You have a copy of that letter?
Yes, I do.
Let me see the copy of the letter, please.
Right here. And then here's a copy of the email with the bank.
All right, so the first thing that you did was...
I sent him
when
an
you
email.
separated... Shh.
Whoops.
Okay. At least initially, I get the sense, Miss Kessler, that what you intended was just to have your name taken off the account. And if that meant that the account had to be closed and reopened in his individual name, that's what you wanted.
Yes.
And then you ask the question, well, what happens to the funds that are in the bank? Because the bank says, it can't just take your name off, the account has to be closed. And you say, well, then I want the account closed. And they say, well, okay, we'll send you the paperwork and you close the account, because you can do that. And then they say, well, what do you want to do with the funds in the account? You say, well, how are those funds going to be dispersed? And they say they send you a check because you're the one closing the account and you put it in your bank. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I tried contacting him, and he would not answer the phone. Or
What did you try contacting him for,
just
Miss
to
Kessler?
get my name off of there. And
All
then
right,
he sent me threatening emails, and I said, because I was going to let the money, extra money that I put into the account go, just to sever contacts with him. He sent me a threatening email, and I said,
Did
"That's
he?
it."
Can I see it?
How
See
many
what
do you
happens
want?
when you're not nice, Mr. Boudreaux?
I do.
You see what happens when you're nasty? You could have eliminated this whole thing if you weren't nasty. What'd you get nasty for?
Because those emails I sent, most of them were replies back to her she sent to me. I mean, she called me in 475 times in a little bit over a month.
You have the records
And
of that?
I have the records of that
I see.
right
What'd you
here.
call him 475 times for?
When I first went down there, he had worked on my computer, and I was having computer problems. And some of those,
475 times?
and if you notice, some of those calls were made to the cell phone first, and because he did not answer the cell phone, I called the house phone.
475 times?
Well, I have emails here to bet that say, why won't you answer the phone?
Miss Kessler. 475
that's what it
times.
says.
That's harassing.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
This is disgusting, sir. I never saw somebody string these expletives together in sentences like this. Don't you have any other way of expressing yourself, sir?
And later today,
How did you know she had the car?
She took the car, and the police came to my house, and they searched everything, and they found drugs in her car, they said.
You're getting ahead of yourself, Mr. Werner.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. David Boudreau says ex-girlfriend Valerie Kassler owes for rent and for stealing money from a shared bank account. Valerie says she was entitled to that money.
All right, let me see the email that you're talking about when he says nasty things to you.
I mean, before that, he had threatened my life.
This is disgusting, sir. I don't care what she said to you. I don't care if she called you 475. This is disgusting.
And I have a lot more with those words in him. He would say that to me in front of my children.
How long did he say that in front of your children before you moved out?
That's why I got out of there.
But he said it, listen to me, the first time, not the second time. The first time he used this language in front
Too
of my
long.
children.
Too long.
In front of my children.
Too
You're a
long.
tough girl. I mean, I read what you did.
Too long.
I read what you did. You're a pretty tough girl.
I should have got out longer than I did.
Absolutely right. One time, use this kind of language in front of my children, and I'd be gone. If you let him abuse your children that way, that's your problem. They're not his children. You know why you're here, Mr. Boudreau?
Yes, Your Honor.
You're here because you have a big, fresh mouth. A big, fresh, nasty mouth. I mean, I never saw somebody string these expletives together in sentences like this. Don't you have any other way of expressing yourself, sir? Don't you have any other way of, in a civilized manner, expressing yourself?
I tried every way.
No.
I tried every way.
You
and
think that saying it this, Mr. Boudreau, you think that using this kind of language is going to get her to stop calling you? You think that this kind of language in a letter is supposed to inspire her to do things in a reasonable way?
I mean, 475 phone calls.
What did she want
emails,
from you?
messages.
Mr. Boudreau, what did she want from you, sir?
No, I have no idea.
What did you want
I
from
have
him?
no idea.
Shh, Miss Kessler.
Right now, my kids want their dog.
Shh. Forget the dog. Just go. Forget it. Go buy him a new dog.
I didn't want
I'm
anything
asking
from
you.
him. I want him to leave
so
me
what?
alone.
So what were you
And-
calling? Shh. Listen to me. What were you calling him for? Don't think. What were you calling him for?
At first, to get my computer straightened out, because he's the one that formatted it. And there were programs on there that I didn't understand how they worked, and he knew how they worked, and I was trying to get him to help me with them.
At first.
Mm-hmm.
After you didn't return your calls because he didn't want to talk to you. At first, then there has to be a second. What was the second reason that you called him?
Stupidity.
Right. And then you took his money. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,600. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She still thinks she is a nice person, an innocent person.
Be careful who you meet online.
She brought me down to her level. I'm ashamed, but I went there. What can I do?
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Knighton versus Werner, step forward, please.
Teresa Knighton is suing her former stepmother's husband, Dwayne Werner, for the return of her '94 Pontiac Grand Prix and her personal property.
Miss Knighton, according to what I read in your complaint, you've known the defendant from some convoluted family relationship for several years. You were the owner of a truck.
Mm-hmm.
He was the owner of a car. According to you, he wanted a truck, you wanted a car, and your cars and trucks were comparably valued. So you decided to switch. And before any paperwork could be done, your truck was stolen and burned to a crisp. So Mr. Werner came back and took his car.
No.
That's what you say.
Yes.
Mr. Werner says no, you had merely borrowed his car, and while you had talked about this deal, you never really culminated the process by formally agreeing to exchange property. That's your defense. Is that right, Mr. Werner?
Yes, ma'am.
What year truck did you have?
90.
I'd like you to keep your voice up because I'm old, and I would like to be able to hear you without straining myself.
It was a 1990.
What kind of a truck was it?
A Toyota 4Runner.
And what kind of car did you have, sir?
I had a '94 Pontiac Grand Prix. It was a G-Unit Special Edition.
What kind of work do you do, Mr. Werner?
I'm on disability right now.
What's the nature of your disability?
My knee and depression.
How long have you been receiving disability?
About a year, probably.
Prior to that, what kind of work did you do?
Roofing and sheet metal.
Who do you live with?
My wife and my daughter.
And you?
Nowhere right now because I lost my job because of this incident.
Where were you working before this incident happened?
I worked for my boyfriend's mother. Pretty much. It was like a part-time
I
receptionist.
never knew she had a job, Your Honor. She's always borrowing money from me every time I seen her.
Okay, now, so that's this case, Ms. Knighton. So why don't you tell me about it? When did you make this exchange?
Actually, we were talking about it before he had went on a trip, and we were talking...
Where did he go on a trip?
He went to Oregon.
For what?
I don't really know.
Where'd you go to Oregon for?
I had to go see one of my friend's sons off. He was going on a trip.
How'd you get there?
Airplane.
Go ahead.
And we were talking, and I wanted to sell my vehicle. And he was talking how he wanted a truck, and I wanted a car. So he eventually was like, you know, we can just trade vehicles because...
Just a second. When did you have this discussion?
Probably about 2 weeks before the incident happened. I don't know the exact date.
Don't interrupt her. I'm going to give you a chance. Tell me about the exchange.
We just pretty much just...
Did you go to his house? Did he go to your house?
Well, I went to his house, frankly, because of my little brother and sister that lived there, and, you know, I'd helped them clean their house, and therefore we talked about it.
I asked you how your truck got to his house.
I drove it.
And did you give him the keys?
Yes, we exchanged keys and...
When you left, did you leave your truck there?
Yes.
Where did you leave it parked?
Just in his driveway.
Then what happened?
Pretty much nothing for a couple days, and then I was notified by the police that my car was found down in R7 where...
You mean your truck?
Yeah, my truck. I'm sorry, I call it a car sometimes. But it was found, and it was burnt, and therefore I got a hold of him, and we called, you know, to try to see if he knew what happened. You know, he said he didn't know what happened. I went and picked him up in the car that I had that was, you know, that we traded, and we called the police station, and we asked if we needed to make a report, and they said no. I mean, that was weird, but they said no. And 3 days later, his wife came over to the place I was staying and stole the vehicle back from me.
How do you know it was his wife?
Because I saw her.
And what did you do, just come over and...
She just got in the car. I heard somebody pulling out the driveway, and I opened the door because I was getting ready to go somewhere, and she was taking off in it. And then I had called him, and I said, you know, it's okay, you can have the car. I just want my personal property back out of the vehicle. And he was like, you know, you'll get it back, and I never got it back.
Well, what personal property did you want out of the car?
Well, I had pictures of my deceased mom in there. I had clothes and...
Where's her stuff?
I never even talked to her.
He gave it
she
to
left
this
a message on my cell phone about her stuff, and she said, I called the police and told them all about this operation you have down there and all this stuff.
What operation?
I don't know. All I know is if I've had more police trouble since then, this whole thing has been nothing but trouble for me, man.
Tell me about when her truck was left in your driveway and she took your Pontiac.
Well, she was talking to me when she called me in Portland and told me that she wanted to trade. She said she'd give me $200 a month forever, how long I wanted and all that, which is unrealistic because, like I said, I had to loan her money every time I seen her anyway.
So, what did you say to her?
I told her I'd talk to her about it later. She took the car and drove it around for a while. I guess the police came to my house.
What do you mean she took it around and drove it around? You guess.
I guess she drove it around. I mean,
Well,
she took
she
the car. I
had
don't
the
know what
car,
she did
sir.
with it.
How did she get the keys to the car?
I don't remember. I mean, it
Well,
might have
you
been
did-
in it, or I
listen.
might have given it to her. I don't know.
Listen, she had the car for at least several days.
Yes.
Didn't you miss it?
Yes, I did.
Did you call the police?
No, I knew she had the car
Well, how did you know she had the car?
because she took it.
Well, then she must have taken it with your permission.
Yes.
There we go. That's what I'm asking you. Tell me about that.
She took the car. And the police came to my house and they searched everything and they found drugs in her car, they said.
You're getting ahead of yourself, Mr. Werner.
Okay.
How many vehicles do you have, sir?
Right now, about 3 probably.
How many working vehicles did you have on the day that she came and took your Pontiac?
Couple.
Don't answer me in a glib way.
2.
What were they?
Red Thunderbird and a white Grand Prix.
Red Thunderbird?
Yes.
Who drove that?
My wife.
And a white,
Grand Prix.
who drove that car?
I did.
So this Pontiac was an extra car.
Well, it was my car.
Well, now you have 2 cars. You have no job and 2 cars. What do you need 2 cars for if you're on disability? You can't get around much with a bad knee. All right, very easy. I find that the parties agreed to make a sale, that they agreed to make a barter sale, and that barter was they were going to barter for each other's cars. There was no exchange of money. The issue is whether or not there was a contract. And the contract was made at the time, I believe you, that he agreed to take your truck because he didn't have a truck and he wanted a truck because you already had a car, and you wanted a car because you were tired of driving around. I'm speaking. Tired of driving around in your truck, you wanted a car. That contract was consummated when you actually made the physical exchange of the property, despite the fact that the title had not been transferred to either of the vehicles. So we have a Blue Book value on a 1994 Pontiac, please.
Your Honor, that's not a truck, what she has anyway. It's more like a big station wagon.
What difference does it make? It's burned.
It's a SUV.
What do you think?
What condition?
Perfect.
You want to take his word for it?
I take his word for it. He says it was in perfect condition.
Has here $4,225.
Well, that's what he says. Plaintiff's damages, you're suing for $3,000. That's the maximum permitted in your court. Is that correct? Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,000. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may versus Garcia. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Mr. Banks, it is your claim that the defendant had you falsely arrested for assault. This was not the first altercation that you've had with him, but you claim that this time you were tried and ultimately found not guilty after a jury trial. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
You want him to compensate you in the amount of $5,000.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Garcia says that you did, in fact, assault him. He has the injuries to prove it. He is counterclaiming for $5,000 for the assault. So, what created this problem between the two of you? Do you live close by to each other?
5 doors away, ma'am.
And how long have you lived 5 doors away from the defendant?
I've lived in my current residence just under 4 years, ma'am.
What about you, Mr. Garcia? How long have you lived in your current residence?
I've lived there for 9 years.
When did you and Mr. Garcia start to have difficulty, Mr. Banks?
I believe in May, we had...
May of what year, sir?
2002.
So for a long time you lived there peacefully with Mr. Garcia.
Yes, ma'am.
So let's try to find out what the catalyst was in May 2002 that created the problem.
Mr. Garcia drove through the neighborhood, speed limit being 25. He drove approximately 40 miles an hour past my house. Witnesses here were both across the street.
He drove by 40 miles an hour in
On
a
a
car?
motorcycle.
On a motorcycle.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Garcia, when did you get a motorcycle, sir?
About a month before then.
So before you got the motorcycle, everything was just dandy?
Yes.
So would you say, Mr. Garcia, that the problem was precipitated by your motorcycle?
Yes, Your Honor.
See how much progress we're making? Okay, Mr. Banks, let's have the incident that you are referring to today with regard to the false arrest.
That evening, Mr.
Give me
Garcia...
the date.
July 15th, 2002.
Okay, go ahead.
Mr. Garcia instigated a fight with individuals at a party.
How did he do that?
He drove very close to an individual who was giving the party.
Where did that individual live?
There would be 3 houses from Mr. Garcia.
And he was on his motorcycle.
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
He had a verbal altercation, at which time there was a shoving match, and he got punched in the head and knocked him out. They tried to retrieve his senses, put him back on his motorcycle, and sent him home. When his senses came back, he got upset and continued to fight. The fight resulted in various bruises and injuries that he's got pictures of.
And you took no part in that?
I watched.
How many people were at the party, Mr. Banks?
Approximately 20.
How many men?
I would say half were men.
So 10 men?
Yes, ma'am.
Of the 10 men, how many participated in the beating of Mr. Garcia?
About 5, ma'am.
And you were present at all times?
Yes, ma'am.
Give me the names of the 5.
I can give you 3 who I do not know. Isaac, Daniel, and David.
Did you tell that to the police?
No, ma'am.
Why not?
I was accused of being involved in it. It was not my job to do the inquiry.
Well, if somebody said to me, I was accused, I would say, listen, I was there, and I wasn't unhappy that this guy was getting beat up because, you know, he was a jerk before, and I did nothing to help him. But it wasn't me who beat him up. I can give you the names of the people who beat him up. Don't take me to jail. I didn't do it. Wouldn't that sound like what a normal person would do?
I did not physically have the altercation with him, and he deserved what he asked for. No, I was not giving him the names.
Now, you were arrested, Mr. Banks. Did you retain a lawyer?
Yes, ma'am.
I assume that your lawyer made a motion to dismiss the case?
Several times.
And that motion to dismiss was denied?
Yes, ma'am.
What criminal act were you tried on? Assault in what degree?
Assault, bodily injury.
So it was a felony?
No, misdemeanor, Class A, ma'am.
Did Mr. Garcia testify?
Yes, ma'am.
Did he have witnesses who testified also?
No, ma'am.
Did you testify?
No, I did not testify, ma'am.
Did you have witnesses who testified on
Yes,
your
ma'am.
behalf? Are any of those witnesses here today?
Yes, ma'am.
Which witnesses?
Both, ma'am.
Both were there that
Yes.
evening?
Alan and Anita, yes, ma'am.
Okay, step up, sir. Tell me your last name.
Goodner.
You were there on the evening of the 15th of July?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me what you saw.
Ches drove by on his motorcycle. I think there was a beer can thrown or something like that.
At him?
At him.
Okay,
Someone
so he
in the
didn't
party.
just go by.
No,
he
did. He tried to run over. I mean, people were in the street, and he did speed by. He turned back around, and he started having words with everybody.
After somebody threw a beer can at him?
No. Well, yes, he did turn around after the beer can, but I'm sure he would turn around anyway.
Listen to me.
Yes, ma'am.
Don't anticipate what I'm going to say, Mr. Goodner.
Yes, ma'am.
Just listen very carefully. Put all your thinking caps on.
Yes, ma'am.
And think very carefully about what I'm saying so that you can give me a truthful answer. Because if you don't give me the truthful answer, I will make you look very foolish, and you don't want that
Yes,
in front
ma'am.
of 10 million people.
Yes, ma'am.
So he turned around because somebody threw a beer can at him.
Yes, that's correct.
And then what happened?
He got off the motorcycle and approached Isaac and pushed him. Pushed him several times, and Isaac finally had enough of it, and then that's when he hit him. He got knocked out for a few seconds and got back up and proceeded to fight him. And that's when everybody jumped in to get him off of Isaac.
Who's everybody?
Several people.
Name them.
David, Isaac, and Daniel.
What about you?
No, ma'am, I did not. I didn't want to take part in any part of this because
Well, give me the names of the other people who were there.
I really don't. I know Matt was there. That's about it. Only half of them were my friend.
And what about Mr. Banks? Where was he?
In the driveway, talking to Tanya, a girl
Who's
there.
Tanya?
A girl that lived at the house.
Okay. Just step up.
Sure.
Your name?
Anita Dore.
Are you a neighbor?
Yes, I am.
How long have you lived in the neighborhood?
I have been in the house 3.5 years.
Mr. Garcia's motorcycle, has it presented a problem in the neighborhood?
Oh, yes, it has.
Well, tell me about it.
Well, we have a long stretch in front of our street from stop sign to stop sign, and he zooms by, doesn't stop at the stop sign, and it's always real fast. And I had asked him, to slow down because my children could be in the yard or, playing or in the street, and accidents happen.
And what did he say?
He informed me that if they were in the effing street, then he would effing run over them.
What's wrong with you, Mr. Garcia?
Ma'am, I've never said that. I've never talked to this woman before.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I said, okay, well, how do you know I was speeding? It's a motorcycle. It's loud. I stopped at the stop sign.
You shouldn't be riding a loud motorcycle at 12:30 in the morning, Garcia. You understand?
Ma'am, it's really not that loud, but...
It's that loud!
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Kenneth Banks says neighbor Ches Garcia had him falsely arrested for assault. Ches says Kenneth beat him up.
Mr. Garcia, you seem to have a problem with your motorcycle.
I
You lived peacefully in a neighborhood for 9 years, no problem with you. Then you bought a motorcycle and all this trouble started, sir.
I haven't ridden a motorcycle since.
Since you got beaten up?
Right.
Well, that's a good idea, Mr. Garcia, and I assume you haven't had problems since. Mr. Banks, let me explain to you, sir, why you have no case. You went to trial in a criminal case. At the end of the case, after Mr. Garcia testified, your lawyer made a motion to dismiss that case, as every good lawyer does. The judge who heard that case said, no, no, no. This case has to proceed to the end because there is sufficient evidence to establish that you were involved in that beating. If your case had been dismissed and the judge said there is no evidence whatsoever linking Mr. Banks to this assault, then you might have been able to proceed civilly against Mr. Garcia. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
And I'm not so sure, Mr. Banks, that you weren't involved. You may not have started it. You were certainly happy that it was happening, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Should never be happy when somebody is getting pulverized, sir. The fact that he may have been endangering some people in the neighborhood by reckless driving of this motorcycle does not mean that he deserves to lose his life. Now you may be seated for a moment. Now I'm going to get to your counterclaim, Mr. Garcia. I assume you have some terrible pictures for me to see.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, Mr. Banks, so that you'll understand this, he is allowed to proceed against you civilly, even if you were found not guilty by a jury, because the quantum of proof in a criminal case at the end of the whole case is by beyond a reasonable doubt. And the jury found that you were not guilty by beyond a reasonable doubt. They did not find that you were innocent. Quantum of proof here in this case is proof by a preponderance of the evidence, just a little bit of evidence, more so than not. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, please hand Officer Byrd the photographs, and you tell me, sir, your version of what happened, Mr. Garcia, on the 15th of July.
It was around 1 o'clock in the morning. I was coming home from work on my motorcycle. I was slowing down to stop at the stop sign that's in front of the house where the party was going on, and somebody threw a beer can at me. So I turned around and I said, what's the problem? And they started telling me I better get out of there and this and that. And when I looked up, I see Mr. Banks coming from in between two cars in the driveway, and I tell him, don't touch me, don't talk to me. I've got a lawsuit against you right now. And they said, if you talk to me, you'll be arrested. Well, when I said that, he turned his head and he bit me in the nose. At that point, I freaked out and I took off and I turned around, and then I hear somebody yelling, you tried to hit me. I got pushed off of my motorcycle, and me and Isaac started fighting, and the next thing I know, I have 4 people on top of me kicking me in the face. They broke my eye socket. I've got 2 titanium plates in there forever. I can't wear contacts anymore. They broke my nose.
Did you sue the other people?
No, ma'am.
Why not?
I haven't had a chance yet.
What do you mean you haven't had a chance yet?
This has been going on for a year. Really, I'm at the point where I just want to be left alone.
Just a second. Mr. Garcia, do you have the police report that you filed?
I didn't actually file it. The police officer wrote it when I was in the hospital, and
How many people were tried for the assault?
Just 1.
Why is that?
I didn't know any other names.
Well, what kind of an investigation was done by the police, sir?
They didn't do anything. They really didn't.
Well, Mr. Garcia, that's outrageous, sir. I mean,
I know.
Here we have Isaac, David, and Daniel. Very easy to figure out. They all have last names. What's Isaac's last name?
That we don't know.
If we knew.
David.
No clue.
Daniel.
I have no clue.
Don't believe any of you. Who are you?
Chez's mother.
Were you there that evening, the 15th of July?
I was at home. I didn't witness any of the attack. But the police officer, when we were in the hospital, he said we had to get the names.
Listen to me. That's not your job. The police department is supposed to do the investigation.
Right.
I'm outraged. What country do you live in?
We live in Texas, and this whole thing has just been preposterous.
How old is your son?
My son is 21.
Okay. Who bought him the motorcycle when he was 19?
He bought it himself.
I was actually 20 when I bought it.
Where is it now?
It's sitting in the backyard.
Sell it.
I'm going to. I'm trying.
That's a very good idea.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I opened the door and I grabbed the knife out of the kitchen and I told him to get out of my yard. Well, he runs off down the street and he gets a pistol out of his truck and he comes into my front yard, sticks the gun to my head, walks me all the way into my house.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Kenneth Banks says neighbor Ches Garcia had him falsely arrested for assault. Ches says Kenneth beat him up.
You still live close to each other?
Yes, Your Honor.
Can I say something, ma'am?
Sure.
Mr. Garcia says I bit him. If you would look at the photos, you'll see no bite marks on him.
There is no indication in any of the photographs that he was bitten in the nose.
Ma'am, actually, there is a picture of my nose, and I have 2 marks on each side of the nose.
Sir, these 2 marks on this side of your nose could not have been made by a human being.
Well, I mean, he did. He bit me in the nose, and then Alan told me that I was lucky I wasn't killed because he's an ex-Marine.
Oh, I believe that the whole mob scene could have killed you. I'm just absolutely amazed that you didn't pursue these other people.
I tried to my fullest, and the officer wouldn't return our calls. We got a hold of the DA to try to get her to get a hold of him, and it just didn't go through.
I don't know why it didn't go through. But I'm going to tell you something, Mr. Banks. How old are you, sir?
38, ma'am.
Whether or not you participated in this assault, I am appalled that you sat back and watched. I mean, he's 20 years old. 20 years old is a moron. You're double his age. You can have a child his age. You permitted him to be assaulted badly, where they really could have killed him, because you think he deserved it because he was driving his motorcycle too fast.
Ma'am, that was not why I let it go on.
Well, then you tell me, Mr. Banks, why you let it go on.
Prior incident when he lied to the police, I spent a night in jail. At that point, no, I was not going to get involved in it.
Another incident that involved an alleged assault?
Yes, ma'am.
When was that?
June 6, 2002.
And you were arrested?
Yes, ma'am.
What happened to that case?
That was no bail by the grand jury, ma'am.
Were you assaulted on June 6th?
It was actually May 11th. What had happened is I was driving home from down the street. It was about 12:30.
On your motorcycle?
Yes, ma'am.
12:30 in the morning or at night?
12:30 in the morning. And I hear beating on my door about 10 minutes after I get home. I open the door and I see Mr. Banks and Alan at my front door. I had never met them before. I walked outside and I said yes, and he said, "You're speeding and I don't appreciate this and that." And I said, "Who are you?" And he says, "Well, I live over there." And I said, "Okay, well, how do you know I was speeding? It's a motorcycle, it's loud." I stopped at the stop sign.
You shouldn't be riding a loud motorcycle at 12:30 in the morning, Garcia. You understand?
Ma'am, it's really not that loud. But
it's that
anyway,
loud.
Anyway, he proceeded to push me up against the brick wall, and I smelled the alcohol on his breath. And I said, "Look, you need to leave or I'm going to call the cops." And he's told me if that's what I better do if I know what's right for me. And he kept pushing me against the wall. And at that point, I opened the door and I grabbed the knife out of the kitchen and I told him to get out of my yard. Well, he runs off down the street and he gets a pistol out of his truck and he comes into my front yard and sticks the gun to my head at the driveway and walks me all the way into my house.
So what happened with that case?
They never contacted me. All I heard was it was no build and they couldn't tell me anything.
The only thing that I have to decide today is whether or not he's responsible for your beating.
Right.
You want to say something else?
Yes, ma'am. On behalf of Ken, do I approach her?
Sure.
Well, that night, whenever the knife got pulled, he pulled it on. He ran after Ken. I stood in front of the knife for Ken. Ken came back, felt I was in danger while his dogs were running after Ken. Ken came back with the gun on behalf of my life.
What did you go over to his house for?
Because it's better than calling the cops. And do a neighborly thing, go over and just talk to him. You know, I'd be mad if someone called the cops on me. Go over and talk to him. It wasn't as violent as it thinks. He flipped out. He came outside running. You could hear him straggling in the kitchen.
What were you doing with Mr. Banks at 12:30 in the morning?
Hanging out.
Hanging out and drinking?
Yes, ma'am, I was drinking.
Yes. Sit down.
Yes, ma'am.
You have something to contribute to this?
Yes, ma'am. About 3 days ago, I was at my other next-door neighbor's house.
You're his brother?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
And he comes up and tries to talk to me, and I don't really want to have anything to do with him.
Who's he?
Alan. And it boils down to where he was saying that it's real manly for Mr. Banks to pull a gun on my brother, saying that he's lucky, my brother is lucky that he didn't get shot that night.
You think that everybody got a little hot?
Yeah.
I think so, too. I'm absolutely amazed that the district attorney in Texas did not pursue the case against these other people. I'm unimpressed by the fact that an ex-Marine would allow a mob, if I were to believe him, to assault a youngster in his presence. You are under no obligation to stop that mom. But I think to say I'm an ex-Marine is sort of besmirching, in my judgment, that branch of the military. Because I think that your behavior that day, even if you did not participate in this assault, was abominable, Mr. Banks. Understand each other?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. You don't have a case against Mr. Banks, Mr. Garcia, because I am not satisfied that aside from looking and gloating over the fact that you were getting the crap kicked out of you, that he actually participated in this assault. And Mr. Banks, you have no case against Mr. Garcia, because, as I said, the district attorney and the judge presiding over the trial, your trial, for assault, felt that there was sufficient evidence to proceed and give it to a jury. And our justice system does not give you 2 bites of the apple. That's all. Step out.
Parties are excused. You may step out. 15 on the calendar in the matter of Lee versus Green.
Thanks, Bert.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated.
Miss Lee, you purchased a vacation package from the defendant.
Yes, ma'am.
And according to your complaint, you could not use the package because it turned out to be non-transferable. You want your money back.
Yes, ma'am.
The defendant has a different story, which I will allow him to tell me briefly. Where did you get this vacation package from?
Girlfriend.
Man, a few words. You got it from another girlfriend.
Another girlfriend, yes, ma'am.
Was the plaintiff a girlfriend of yours or just a friend?
Just a friend.
Now, when this girlfriend gave you the package, were you supposed to accompany her, or did she give it to you to go by yourself?
Well, I was supposed to accompany her on the trip, but I decided I didn't want to go.
When had she purchased it for you?
Back in August sometime.
And when did you decide not to use it?
About a week after she gave me the ticket, I decided not to use it.
Why didn't you give it back to her?
She didn't want it back. I just put the ticket up in the closet. She thought I was going to change my mind. She thought I was going to change my mind and go along with her. And I just put the ticket in the closet and just left it there.
So you didn't pay for the ticket?
No, I didn't.
And you didn't tell her right away that you had absolutely no intention of going and you're going to give her back the ticket?
She didn't want the ticket back.
Did you say to her, here's the ticket, I'm not going with you, I'm going to rip it?
She did not want the ticket back.
It's not my question. Did you hand her the ticket and say, I'm not using this ticket?
Miss Young lives in New York City. I live in Richmond, Virginia.
Yes.
We spoke on the phone. I told her I was not going on the trip. She told me to keep the ticket. I probably would change my mind, and I told her I wasn't going to change my mind, and I had the ticket.
How did it come about that you sold the ticket to Miss Lee?
I met Mary. She was in the beauty shop across the street from my house. Someone introduced me to her, and we were talking. A couple of days later, she came over, and she was in my bed, and I was talking on the phone about the ticket to Aruba. And
who were you talking to?
A friend, another young lady on the phone. And she decided that, she said, well, I'll go. So I didn't say anything. I just kept talking. And when I got off the phone, she wanted to know could she purchase a ticket. And I said, yes. She gave me $200 deposit. She gave me a $200 deposit in cash at that moment. She wrote a statement out. I told her if she wasn't here the next day to purchase a ticket with the balance of the money, she would lose her deposit.
You told her that as she was putting on her stockings, sir?
No, they were off.
So you told her, I'm taking you $200. If you're not here by tomorrow with the balance of the money, you're going to forfeit the $200.
Yes.
Then you would have gotten a free ticket that you paid nothing for, plus her $200. That would have been you spending money on your trip.
I wasn't going on the trip.
Boy, he must have something that I don't see. All right, Miss Lee, let's come to you because I'm getting a little nauseous from him. You bought the ticket. You gave him how much?
This was my second date with Mr. Green. Mr. Green telephone rang. A gentleman called wanting to buy these tickets for $1,000.
Listen to me, Miss Lee. Just answer my question.
Yes, ma'am.
Person of good judgment you are not, because I've listened to him for a total of 5 minutes and I could tell he's not worth very much. Okay? Not a person of good character. So you gave him how much money in total for the ticket?
I gave him a total of $700.
Is that correct, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, so you purchased a ticket and he gave you the ticket. Were you able to use the ticket?
No, ma'am.
Why not?
The ticket was not changed into my name, and I did not have a new reservation number for the resort hotel by the time I got in Aruba. I got stopped in the Richmond International Airport as being a thief of stealing his ticket.
Was this ticket including airfare?
Including airfare,
Okay.
round-trip ticket, and hotel.
Okay. Were you able to use the airfare?
No, ma'am.
So you weren't able to use the airfare, so you couldn't get there?
I couldn't get there.
Let me see the ticket that you have, please. You went there with his ticket?
Because yes, ma'am.
You went there with his ticket?
To the airport, yes, ma'am, on October 7th.
She did never go to the airport. When I tried to have the ticket changed, I needed a social security number and a date of birth to change the ticket. She would never give me a social security number and her date of birth so I can have the ticket changed. Yeah. And at one point, she was calling me in the middle of the night, cursing, drunk, talking about, I want you to go on a trip with me, then we'll go on a trip. I said, no, I'm not going on a trip, and if you don't give me the social security number and date of birth, there's nothing I can do.
Why didn't you just have her call the travel agent and give them her date of birth?
She wouldn't do it.
Really?
I gave her the telephone number to the travel agent. She wouldn't do it.
Let me ask you this question, Mr. Green. After the night that you sold her this ticket, were you intimate with her again?
No.
Never?
Never.
Yeah. Is there any reason for that?
When I called her, she didn't want to be bothered.
But you did call her again?
Yeah, quite a few times. And
After she bought the ticket?
I didn't bring the tapes.
Just answer my question.
I did not bring...
You're not answering my question. I'm in charge.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Judge.
Go ahead, Judge.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Mr. Green, after you spent an intimate night, he was sufficiently dissatisfied with your performance so as not to want to see you again. Did that make you angry, sir?
And later today...
You want to speak. I want you to open your mind, start receiving. Don't be sending out. Receive what I'm saying, because it's something that you don't know.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Mary Lee says ex-boyfriend Willie Green owes for the cost of a bogus vacation package. Mary says she bought the tickets from him after their second date.
So, Mr. Green, let me understand this. She came and gave you the money for the ticket after you spent an intimate night, and evidently was sufficiently dissatisfied with your performance so as not to want to see you again. Did that make you angry, sir?
No, it doesn't.
Really? I think, Mr. Green, that you are not out any money, sir, because you didn't pay for this ticket. There are 3 people who were involved in this ticket. Let me understand this. There's Miss Lee, who paid $700 to you for the ticket. There's Miss Young, who bought you the ticket, right?
Right.
And paid whatever she paid for the ticket. Let's say she paid $1,000 for the ticket.
Paid $1,400.
Paid $1,400 for the ticket. So she paid $1,400, Miss Young. She paid $700. You paid Zippo, nada, and you get $700. Is that right? That's what you think is going to happen? Wrong. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $700. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
With Mr. Green being a retired police officer, I expect him to have better standards.
She wanted me to go on a trip with her, and I just refused to go on a trip with her.
I just wanted to have a good vacation. I saved up some money, and I wanted up in Richmond, Virginia. That's all. And he cheated me, and he's a womanizer.
She's a jilted lover.
It's not accurate. He's the womanizer and the jilted lover. He's out to get whatever he can get from anyone.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Smith versus Smith. Step forward, please.
26-year-old cosmetologist Crystal Smith is suing her aunt, daycare provider Veronica Smith, for the value of a 3-wheel ice cream bike. Veronica says the bike was stolen from her garage. She has a countersuit for unpaid rent and carpet cleaning fees.
Miss Smith, the defendant is your aunt.
Yes.
And it is your claim that she owes you for some sort of a bicycle that you were storing in her house that was stolen.
Yes.
Tell me about it.
Me and my auntie, Veronica, we had made up an agreement for us to sell candy out of her garage. Me and my husband, we supplied candy, snowballs, any kind of snacks.
So this bicycle was not a bicycle that you ride on, it was...
It was like a 3-wheeler, a tracker.
Have a picture of it?
I have not a photo picture, but I went on the internet and went online and got on their site. I have internet.
What one looks like,
yes.
so that I have some idea of what it looks like. Okay, let me see it, please.
That's a model like it. The difference in that model.
Okay, so it's a bicycle that has it's a bicycle, but has this little thing
with
on top.
With the cooler system in the back with the umbrella.
And this is what you kept in her garage?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
She said she took it out of the garage. She forgot about the bike, left it out, and it came up stolen.
When was it stolen?
It was stolen on a Saturday night.
Do you know what happened?
It was stolen on Saturday night. So that particular night that we was in my garage, me and my family, we were playing some cards that night. So the bike was too big, so I didn't like no smoking in my house, so we was out there. And so I put the bike between my garage door and my car. It was in between. So some between Saturday night and Sunday, the bike got stolen. So in the first place, I did not give Krista Smith a permission to bring any bike to my house for any reason.
How long had the
bike had been there for...
Let me finish.
Okay.
How long had the bike been there before it was stolen?
The bike was been there for like 2 months. At the time that I told Krista for about 2 months to come and give her belongings out of my house. I kept saying, get the bike out of my house, get your stuff out of my house.
Did your aunt ever say to you, come and get your stuff out of the garage and house?
We had a get-together over one of my other aunties' house, my Aunt Mary. That night she mentioned, she said, I've been meaning to call you. I wanted to tell you to come and get the rest of the stuff out the garage. I said, I'm going to get a U-Haul, not this weekend, but next weekend, and I'll be over there to get the rest of the stuff that was there, because it was more than just the bike actually in the garage.
What was all your stuff doing in her garage?
We had a store set up in the back of our garage.
Why? Why?
We had started a business, and we had rented out an area that we were leasing. And the lease, the contract had got canceled. So in between time, I had called up my Aunt Veronica, and we had talked on the phone. Before we had actually opened up the store, she said we can come and store my belongings that I had there at her house.
How many times did your aunt tell you to get the stuff out of her garage?
Once.
When? Give me the date.
I don't know the exact date, because it was a weekend. We was over my Aunt Mary's house.
Do you know the date? July 1st.
And when was the bike stolen?
The bike was stolen in August. August the 12th, 13th, whatever.
Okay.
And that was the agreement was on. They would pay me $75 a week for selling the candy out of the garage. They never did pay me any money but once. They gave me $50 once. So after that, they would start bringing stuff to my house, bicycles, radios, and TVs and stuff. And as I said, hey, wait, hold up. I couldn't got nowhere to put my stuff in my own house, in my garage and stuff. You guys got to, come get your stuff. They never could come get their stuff out of my garage. And after I tried to get in touch with Krista about the bike being stolen, for 2 weeks later, that's when she called me. And she called me on the phone, and then they started making threats against me, telling me they're going to burn my house down.
When did you make the agreement with her about renting the space to sell the candy?
Around in June.
And the bike was stolen in August.
Right.
So that they had your permission, at least your niece had your permission, to keep the bike in your garage.
No, Anna. She had only permission to sell candy, not bring bikes and stuff.
I'm not talking about bikes. I'm talking about this bike. This was the one that was stolen, right?
Right. That's what was
stolen.
stolen.
So you knew that this was the one she was going to sell the candy from.
But I didn't know that she was going to. She didn't ask me to bring no bikes or anything down to my house.
Ms. Smith, you're not paying attention to me. Maybe you're not following me. The law says that if you allow someone to store something in your garage, you want to speak. I want you to open your mind, start receiving. Don't be sending out. Receive what I'm saying, because it's something that you don't know. If you say to her, you can sell candy out of my garage and keep this in my garage, or even if you don't have an agreement with her for money, but you say, all right, you want to store it in my garage? I'll let you store it in my garage. And then at some point you say, listen, you got to come get your stuff out. You are still in a position where you have to exercise some ordinary care over her property. But what you did was you put this bike outside and then forgot about it. But for the fact that you brought it outside and forgot to bring it inside, it would have been inside. There was nothing else taken from the garage, right?
No.
So this, you're responsible for.
But I did not give her permission to bring any bikes or anything down to my house.
Yes, you did, because you just told me, and you have a counterclaim. In addition to that, the reason I know that you did, because you have a counterclaim for rent.
I have a counterclaim for...
Shh. You're not receiving. You have a counterclaim for rent, and in your counterclaim, you said you had an agreement with your niece to sell candy out of your garage and that they were going to pay you $75 a week starting June 1st.
Yes.
You also said that they damaged your carpet.
Right.
I have something to add.
When?
The mess was not made because we were not on carpet. The carpet is only upstairs in the dining room. In the basement, it's the concrete flooring. In the garage, it's the same thing.
Who purchased this candy wagon? Who
Me and
purchased
my
it?
husband went together and purchased.
Let me see when this piece of equipment was purchased.
Here's the receipts.
You paid $2,500 for this thing?
Yes.
Now you have a store. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. When did you stop selling candy?
I'll say the week of the 4th of July.
So why didn't you get the bike out of her house until August?
Officially, we were still open for business. She did not tell us to...
That's not what I asked you. Why didn't you get the bike out when you stopped using it for business?
The week of the 4th, we could not sell any candy out of her premises because she said she was going to be out of town and we could not be there.
Fine, so that's out of town. When did she come back into town?
That following week. She was only...
Why didn't you start to sell your candy again?
Relocated with a new place of business.
So why didn't you get the bike out of her garage?
Because the candy and the bike and everything that we own were still stored in the garage as well.
How much did you pay her for the storage?
The storage was supposed to be $50.
How much did you pay her for the storage?
We did not have a storage fee set up. All we had set up was a weekly fee for the candy.
How much did you pay her?
The agreement was $50 a week. It was not $75 a week.
Fine. How much did you pay her?
I paid her $50.
You didn't pay for 3 weeks in June, nothing in July, and nothing till
the whole 2 months that we were there, we didn't sell candy the whole 2 months.
Why should she take care of your stuff? She told you to move your stuff in July.
The bike got stolen between the 27th of July and the first week of August?
When was the bike stolen?
About 20. August 20.
2 seconds ago, you told me it was the 15th.
It was stolen in August. It was stolen in August.
It was stolen the last week
No,
of
it was
July,
stolen
the
in
first
August.
week of August.
Show me. How do you know?
The 23rd of August is my brother's birthday.
Oh, please, give me a break. Listen, you left this thing here. It was her fault. It was her fault that this got stolen because she took it and she put it outside and she forgot to bring it back. You show a bill for $2,500.
Yes.
You expect her to pay you $2,500 for this?
I have a receipt.
No way in this earth is she going to pay you $2,500. You took advantage of her. You took advantage of her good nature. You were storing your stuff there. She had to, in order to accommodate herself and her friends playing cards, move your stuff around. She told you to move it. You said, I don't have to move it. I'll move it when I get good and ready.
No, I did not.
Well, you did not. I'm going to tell you something. She has some responsibility, but she has this much responsibility, and you have this much responsibility. She has $200 worth responsibility. You have the rest. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $200. Now, let's get to your carpet cleaning. Forget it. Let's get to your rent. Forget it. Do you understand? Forget it. Don't do any more favors, and don't let any more of your relatives store stuff in your property, because ultimately, if something happens, they're going to come looking for you for money. Do you understand?
Yes.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat, please.
Miss Whitaker, the defendant was your best friend, and it is your claim that she stole $800 out of a duffel bag. In that duffel bag was also some sort of hair straightening device, so you're suing her for the value of that. First of all, why was there cash in a duffel bag?
Because we were out all day long, so I left the cash in the duffel bag so that I didn't lose it, because $800 is a lot to have her carrying around.
What was $800 doing in your duffel bag?
I had used it to get my car fixed. My boyfriend had lent it to me so I could fix my car.
When did your boyfriend give you $800 to fix your car?
He's over in Iraq right now, so he had sent me his ATM card with his PIN number, so he had let me withdraw the money from the ATM.
Why didn't you leave the money home?
Because I hadn't been home in the time that I had withdrew the money.
Oh, you said, I withdrew the money on approximately 5 separate occasions.
Yes, ma'am.
So what I'm asking you is, why didn't you leave the money home? The answer is not that you weren't home. You were home in between those 5 different days that you deposited the money.
No, ma'am, I was not. I was with Danielle the entire time. I had not been home once.
Over how many days did you withdraw the money?
2, the 13th and the 14th of March.
So you were keeping it in the duffel bag to fix your car?
Yes, ma'am. The duffel bag was at Danielle's house the entire time.
Why are you looking so ridiculously funny?
I'm not. I just think it's funny because it's not. None of it's true. I just know that none of it's true, so I'm just listening to what she's saying.
Who else lives in Danielle's house?
At the time, only her sister's boyfriend.
What's your sister's boyfriend's name?
Zach.
Why was he staying with you?
It's my sister and her boyfriend's house. She moved in when they started dating. Now they're engaged. So
you were staying with them?
Yes, I was living with my sister in Spring Hill.
They weren't living with her. She moved in with her sister and her sister's boyfriend.
Correct.
On what date did you find the duffel bag missing?
The 15th, we'd had a fight. My duffel bag was still at her house. She had spent the night at my house the previous night. We had a fight, so I made her leave. And like 20 minutes after, I realized. So I called her, and she told me that I wasn't getting it back.
Okay, you made her leave. What did you say to her?
We just got into a fight. We were screaming at each other, and she just left. And I told her, just get out.
What did you say when you called her 20 minutes later?
I just told her that because I had clothes and my hair straightened and everything, I just told her that I needed it all back, and she told me.
No, just a second. Did you say anything about cash?
No, ma'am.
You just said my duffel bag is there and I have stuff in it?
Yes.
What did you say? Tell me what you
Just
said.
that my duffel bag was still there and I needed it back.
And what did she say?
She told me that I wasn't going to get it back.
Why did you say that to her?
I did not say that to her
Yes,
at
you
all.
did. There's no
I
question
didn't.
in my mind you said that to
No,
her.
ma'am,
Can I
there's
say
no question
something?
in my
Not
mind
yet.
that I didn't say it. There was no phone calls. There was about 6 text messages first on the phone, and then it was followed by her calling me and threatening me.
Okay, well,
so
what did the
there,
text?
I didn't call her at all.
I didn't say you called her.
Okay.
I didn't say you called her.
No, I know.
You're not paying attention.
I just said
You're
she
not
called
paying
me.
it.
I was just letting you know she was the one that called me.
That's what she said.
Okay. I was just confirming the fact that she was right, that she did call me. Oh, my God.
Something wrong with your affect. Pay attention.
No.
Put on your listening ears. What did you say when she called you and told you about the duffel bag?
She didn't say anything about the duffel bag.
What did she call you for?
She told, when we were previously at her house, she
No,
mentioned something.
No. When you had a fight and
Okay.
you left.
Yeah.
Listen to me very
Uh-huh.
carefully. When you had a fight and you left, she called you. That you just told me happened.
Mm-hmm.
What did she say when she called you?
She said that she to come back to the house that she was going to stab me. It had nothing to do about the duffel bag.
She said, come back to the house because I'm going to stab you?
Yeah. And I called, and then after her phone call, I called up her mother and let her know that she called me and said that. This is my best friend since I was about 5 years old. I went to his house. I was crying, upset. It's about 25 minutes back to my sister's house. I didn't want to drive back there upset because I knew, you just don't want to drive when you're upset. So I stopped at his house, and that was about the time she did like 6 text messages. And about 5 minutes after I got to his house, he was actually sitting there when she made that phone call. And then I called her mother, and I actually called the police. And I told them that I didn't have time to do a full report because I had to get back up to my sister's house to have her car back so she could get to work. But I told them that I was scared and that I just wanted to call and at least let them know and give them the names. And they said, okay.
Where's her duffel bag?
Her duffel bag was still at my house. But it takes about 25 minutes there and back. So I didn't want to go all the way back up there and then come back. Told her
I
she
just
could
asked you a question. Where
Yeah.
was the duffel bag?
It was still at my house.
And what happened when you got to your house?
Got to my house. My sister used her car, and I stayed there.
What did you do with the duffel bag?
It stayed there. I didn't touch the duffel bag.
How did your sister get hold of her hair straightener?
Because I lived there. About 2 days later, I moved out, and I left it there by accident. And my sister
Just a
hadn't
second.
brought it back yet.
Okay.
But I don't.
How did your sister get her hair straightener? Because I read your answer.
Because
what?
I lived with her.
Well, what was she doing going into the duffel bag? Was she a thief?
Her and she let me use the straightener before we left to go to her.
The duffel bag was, the hair straightener was in the duffel
no,
bag.
No, it wasn't. It was in my bathroom plugged in because right before we left to go hang out with a few of our friends, go back towards her house, we did our hair, so it was left in my bathroom plugged in.
Is
and
that
we turned
correct?
it off.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine. So now where's the duffel bag?
On my rack in my bedroom because I didn't have a closet. I had a rack with my clothes on it, so it was on the bottom rack.
So who stole her money?
There was no money in it.
Oh, yeah, she's going to show me proof that she took money out.
Oh, I bet she did take money out, but there was no cash in the duffel bag.
How do you know that?
One, because...
How do you know that?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I'm very reluctant to make a judgment that somebody took property, because to label somebody a thief, as far as I'm concerned, is a very serious thing.
And later today,
One night we hung out and had relations.
When was it?
About January 15th.
I assume that either you were disappointed with January 15th or you found his behavior somewhat bizarre.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Elizabeth Whitaker claims former friend Danielle Kahneman stole $800 from her duffel bag. Danielle says Elizabeth spent the $800 on drugs.
Madam, I asked you a simple question. You're giving me all kinds of mumbo-jumbo. How did you know there was no cash in the duffel bag?
Because my friend Sam called me up and said that Beth was calling her up to ask her for cocaine. I was worried about it, and that's when I called her boyfriend. But she was my best friend. If there was cash in her duffel bag, don't you think she would have said something to me when she asked me to bring back the duffel bag?
Not if you had just had a fight.
Okay, well, 3 weeks after, when she actually came and picked it up, she never said one word to my mom or anything about the cash either. I have not heard one thing about cash.
Well,
ever.
when was the first time did you hear about cash?
When I got served, when I found out about this.
When was the first time, Miss Whitaker, that you advised anybody that there was cash in that duffel bag?
I had told my mother, and the night that she had called my mother had questioned her about the money in the bag.
Could you stand up, please? Mrs. Whitaker?
Yes.
You spoke to the defendant?
Yes.
When?
The night they had the fight.
Tell me about the conversation.
She called me, actually, to get a number out of Beth's phone that she wanted.
What did she say to you? Tell me what she said.
That's exactly what she said. Can you get a number out of the phone for me?
Whose number was it?
I don't know. I didn't ask her.
Go ahead.
And I said to her, Danielle, what happened to the money? And she launches into this big thing that she didn't even know Beth had any money, and if Beth never told her there was any money. And I said, Danielle, she's been with you for the last 3 or 4 days. You're the only one she's been with. I didn't take her to the bank, so you must have.
What did she say?
She said, well, the only thing I can think of is that I stopped at the grocery store and Beth wanted to wait in the car, and that's when she must have done it. And I said, Danielle, that doesn't make any kind of sense. And she says, well, you know, Beth hasn't been making any sense lately. She's been acting really crazy, and that's what people on drugs do. And she goes on to tell me that we can get her help and that we can get her into rehab. And I said, Danielle, what happened to the money? And Danielle said to me, well, the drug dealer must have it. And I said, well, you must have taken her to the drug dealer because I know I didn't. And then she said, well, I don't know how she got to the drug dealer. And then she says to me that she contacted Beth's boyfriend, Richard. She said that she and Richard had been friends for a long time and she wasn't going to let this come between her, you know, affect her and Richard's friendship. And she said that she called Richard and set up a 3-way conversation, and Beth didn't know that Richard was on the other line. And she said that she confronted Beth about spending the money on drugs, and she said that she just couldn't believe that Beth had spent $800 of Richard's money on drugs. And I said to her, Danielle, how did you know it was $800? And she said, because Richard told me. And I said, Danielle, Richard's in Iraq. He doesn't have a cell phone. You couldn't have called him. Then she said that her mother was trying to call her and she would call me back, and needless to say, I never heard from her again.
You still have the boyfriend in Iraq?
Yes, ma'am.
You have something you want to say to me?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, like, when she had called, I was there for the conversation, when they had the argument, she came to my house crying, that she was like, I could hear her over the line, she was screaming very loudly at her, like, you know, threatening her. It's like, you need to come back to the house so I can kick you. You know, I'm going to stab you, da-da-da. You know, she came to my house in a wreck. I mean, I couldn't believe, like, what she could probably have said to her to, like, you know,
I
have
can't
her.
believe it either. Now you can sit down. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Did you have that conversation with Mrs. Whitaker?
Some of it, yes.
What didn't you say to her?
I don't know what I didn't
answer.
say to her, but I know what I did say to her. She didn't ask me about an actual amount of money. What she asked was, she told me she found some ATM.
So you knew about the, just a second. So you knew about the money, the missing money. Listen to me. So you knew about the missing money the same day as it was missing.
I knew that she said she found withdrawal receipts. So I didn't know anything about the duffel bag, cash being in the duffel bag. She just told me she found withdrawal receipts and said that Beth spent some money. I had no idea there would be money at my house. There couldn't have been money at my house, because there was no conversation about that until obviously now.
No,
Her mom
there
told
was
me
a
that
conversation about it with her mother the same day that it happened. And
But
usually,
it had nothing to do-
yes, it had to do with that money.
Not with my house, though. She called me up and said that she found withdrawal receipts and she wanted to know if I knew anything about it. I told her no, that I never brought her to the bank, and that's all that I knew.
And you didn't discuss with her a 3-way conversation?
No, I don't have her boyfriend's cell phone number.
All I'm asking you is, you didn't discuss a 3-way conversation with her?
No.
No, I don't believe you.
Okay.
How's that?
That's
How's
fine.
that? Don't believe you. Okay. I'm very, very reluctant on circumstantial type evidence when other people have access to property to make a judgment that somebody took property. I'm reluctant to do that because to label somebody a thief, as far as I'm concerned, is a very serious thing. There is no question in my mind that you either took it or know who took the money out of her duffel bag. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $800. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
All right, let's go. Who would have $800 cash in a duffel bag and not come and get it for 3 weeks?
I tried to get everything back, and it was just, she just kept pulling me in circles.
Her boyfriend's away in Iraq. She was spending a lot of time stuck on the computer talking to him.
We did get into an argument about me talking to my boyfriend.
She was just spending more time on the phone with him than she was spending time with me.
I miss him.
I don't know exactly what was going on with the drugs, but if there was something going on, then, I mean, I feel sorry for her.
She's the one with the drug problem.
We were best friends.
I do feel sorry for her, though, honestly, and just, I hope everything works out.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Givens versus Delgado. Step forward, please.
24-year-old Jeffrey Givens is suing his former friend, 21-year-old Sierra Delgado, for a loan to put a down payment on a new apartment.
Mr. Givens, it is your claim that you made a loan to Miss Delgado in the amount of $700. She was a friend of yours. Miss Delgado says that she accepted the $700 from you because she needed some money and it was a gift. How long do you know her?
Your Honor, I have known Miss Delgado since January. I met her at Bartending Academy, and I think that the gift part of that whole story that you just gave me is an utter fabrication.
You have a copy of your check?
Yes, Your Honor. It's a copy of the check and the date when it cleared.
Check is for $1,000, sir. What was the $1,000 for?
Yes, Your Honor. I wanted to pull out $1,000, and she gave me $300 back. So I am suing for $700.
Tell me how it came about, sir, that you knew that she needed $700.
Your Honor, she asked me for money to help pay for her deposit on her new apartment.
When was this?
This was probably January 28th, and I gave the money to her on February 1st.
So you had known her less than a month?
Correct.
Why did you approach him about needing money?
Well, we had met at the Bartending Academy, and we had a friendship going. One night we hung out, and we had relations. After that, I told him I didn't want anything other than a friendship.
Well, when did your relationship with the plaintiff become more than just a friendship?
I would say it was just a one-night stand.
When?
This was in January, the end of January.
Give me the date.
I don't remember the date. We were drinking.
Think about it.
Oh, well, the beginning of January. I'm sorry.
You're testing my patience. Other than bartending school, what else do you do?
I work at 2 restaurants.
And you?
I am a student, Your Honor, and
Where?
I just got out of the Navy, University of San Diego.
Are you a full-time student or a part-time student?
Your Honor, I am a full-time student, biology major.
Who supports you?
I support myself, Your Honor. I was in the Navy, and I have money left over. I have loans, and the military is supporting me a little bit with the GI Bill.
Where were you in service?
I served in Japan, and I served in San Diego.
When were you in Japan?
From 2000 to 2004. And I was in San Diego from 2004 to 2006, October 23rd. That's when I got out.
Do you remember the time that you had an intimate relationship with the defendant?
Yes, Your Honor.
When was it?
It was about January 15th, because that was when Bartending Academy was going on.
And was it after that that she said she only wanted to be friends?
Correct. I did want to be in a relationship with her. She didn't want to, so I cut it off. I had a new relationship going when I gave her the money. So I thought, since I was a personal trainer as well, and I thought, since I can't be your significant other or whatever that may be, I would like to be your friend, personal trainer. I tried to help her. When I sat down with her at the Cheesecake Factory, I gave her a goal list. This was my way of a contract. It's not a contract, but I was trying to help her. I bent over backwards for this young lady.
This is my friend Veronica. She was...
How long has she been your friend?
Since junior high. She's one of the first people that I said, hey, I tell her my problems, and I would have had the money by the end of February, but the girl I was taking the contract over with said she wanted it at the beginning of the month, so I wasn't prepared for that, and I sent Mr. Givens a text message, hey, how do you get $700 in a day? Just, joking. He was a friend, and he jokingly said, stand on the corner of El Cajon Boulevard.
That's a tease.
Yeah.
Madam, you owe him $700.
I don't owe him any money.
Yes, you do!
He gave it to me as a gift.
No, he gave it to you under false pretenses.
Your Honor, I have an email.
I'm speaking. If you had already made a decision, Miss Delgado, that all you wanted was a friendship, if anything, because I assumed that either you were disappointed with January 15th or you found his behavior somewhat bizarre. Either way, I don't care if you go into a homeless shelter. You don't take money from him under false pretenses. And you don't coyly send him a text message, hey, when you know that he wants more from you than you were willing to give him. How do you get $700 in a day? That you may say to your mother or your father. That you may say to your brother or your sister. That you don't say to a guy who is clearly wearing his heart on his sleeve, because that is unkind and cruel and fraudulent. You owe him $700. Judgment for the plaintiff. That's all. Step back.
Parties are excused. You may step back. You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Have a seat, please.
Ms. Sanquist, Ms. Perez and you were friends at one time.
Yes.
And you agreed to babysit for her children while she was working.
Yes.
According to you, the arrangement was you were going to get paid, and then you would fill out some paperwork because she was entitled to child care from the state.
Mm-hmm.
And then you would accept the money that she got from the state for babysitting. Was that your agreement?
No, we had agreement, and when I first began babysitting, that when she receives her income tax, she would pay me. So I would watch them for $45 a day for 3 days a week, and that she would pay me when she gets her money from income tax.
When did you start to babysit for her?
In the month of December of last year.
And how many children do you have?
3, ma'am.
What kind of work were you doing in December of 2003?
I'm working at Dunkin' Donuts, though. Same job I've been working at for 3 years.
So you were working for Dunkin' Donuts.
Mm-hmm.
And how much were you earning there?
$7.10 an hour, ma'am.
You get paid every week or every 2 weeks?
Weekly.
How much is your net check every week?
Like $140.
Do you get any public assistance for the children in addition to the $140?
Yes, I receive food stamps from the state.
What other money do you get?
That's child support for my son.
How much do you get in child support?
$93, ma'am.
A what?
A week.
How old are your children?
My oldest is 11, my middle one is 7, and my smallest one is 2.
Okay. And what do you do for a living, Ms. Sanquist?
I'm a student.
Full-time student? Were you a full-time?
No, part-time. Of course, I didn't register for school because I was depending on the income I was supposedly earning from watching the kids.
Is what you're telling me that you don't do anything right now? It's not an answer.
Put it like that. I do have a disability, so I don't do too much, but I am focusing on school.
When you start, you'll focus. Right now, you're not focusing.
When I start and I don't have to worry about trying to find a job, right?
Ms. Sanquist, how long had you and Ms. Perez been friends?
We've been friends on and off for 10 years.
Is she telling me the truth when she says she works at Dunkin' Donuts?
Yes, she is telling you the truth.
And she, I believe, is telling me the truth when she says she earns $7 an hour.
Yes.
And that her take-home pay is $140 a week.
Yes.
And how many days a week were you supposed to watch her children?
3 days a week. That's
Just
when
a
she
second.
works.
3 days a week. So you expected her to pay you $135 a week.
Yes, I did.
Which means she would go to work for Dunkin' Donuts for $5 a week.
If I can...
No, just a second. I'm doing the math. The math is simple. She comes home with $140 a week, and she was supposed to pay you $135 a week for taking care of her children. That's the math.
That's the math. Can I comment?
Sure.
Erica's working, like she said, 3 years there, part-time. She works there because it's mandatory from the state in order for her to get medical and food stamps benefits. She doesn't have expenses. She doesn't pay rent. Her father owns the house she lives in. She doesn't have any bills. We had an agreement, and she has the funds to pay for it. She has boyfriends that have money that support her too. She has the money to make the agreement, and that's what happened.
Ms. Sanquist, Ms. Perez says that she was going to apply to the state, which does provide child care expenses for people who have low income, and that you did, in fact, fill out the paperwork.
Yes.
When did you fill out the paperwork?
We started the process around April or May.
When?
Your Honor, we started in July. I got papers.
July of what year?
Of 2004.
Well, she was babysitting for you from December until July.
Jessica's been babysitting my son, Your Honor, now all 3 kids. My son only since May of 2004.
Really?
Yes. I would never agree on paying a babysitter $135 a week when I only make a little chunk change.
Sounds
was
ridiculous.
never an agreement. No
Sounds
agreement.
ridiculous. Can I see the paperwork that you started to fill out?
And it's not my signature either. She forged my signature in it too, Your Honor. That's when it started, Your Honor.
Did you fill out these papers?
Yes.
Okay.
Could I say another thing, Your Honor?
Shh. Which child do you receive support for?
Cyrus, my son.
And Emily?
Emily and Melanie, I don't receive nothing for.
Well, they told you that in order for you to receive money, you have to at least apply for child support from the father of the other two children. Otherwise, they're not going to give you money through this program, Care for Kids.
He's in jail for murder.
Is that Emily's father?
No, that's Melanie's dad.
That's Melanie's father. What about Emily's father?
Emily's dad, child support is looking for him right now. He got issues in court.
And a warrant for
and
his
he
arrest.
got a warrant out for his arrest
For
through
domestic
child support.
violence.
Okay.
How you know?
Okay.
I know.
How much money, if any, Miss Perez, did you receive from Care for Kids?
I don't receive no money from Care for Kids, ma'am.
Did you ever receive any
None.
money?
It goes under her name. The check comes under Jessica's name.
How much money, if any, did you receive from them?
Zero. Nothing.
Zero. Well, why
Can I comment?
Yeah, sure.
I didn't receive anything from Care for Kids because every time we applied, we were denied. Well, every time she applied, she was denied because of lack of information that she was supposed to provide, because of missing deadlines. They have deadlines. You miss it, they deny you. She was adamant about saying no, that we didn't start in January, February, March. In April and May, in the process of Care for Kids, we did start. The person I spoke to at 5/11/04 at 11:40 a.m. was Ingrid, and I have a list of names of people that I've been in contact with
All
from
I
this
have
company.
here, listen to me, all I have here is notification from the state that the application was received on July 9th, 2004. I don't have anything else. Listen to me. Do you have any proof that an application was submitted before that?
No, but I requested information, and they said they wouldn't give it to me, they would give it to her.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She fought my sister in front of all the kids.
So you had a fight with her sister over somebody's ex-boyfriend, a story that, believe me, at this hour, I am totally disinterested in.
And later today,
While I may give you the car, I'm not going to give you the car and pay for your insurance, too. Because that would be stupid.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jenny Zenquist says former friend Erica Perez owes for babysitting fees. Erica says Jenny incorrectly filled out the application for state aid.
Listen to me, madam. I do not believe you that you had an agreement with her to pay you $135 a week when all she earns is $140 a week. That just doesn't make sense. Nobody in their right mind is going to work for $5 a week and pay you $135 a week. What makes sense is that the two of you agreed that you would apply for this program and you would get the money from this program. She would turn it over to you and she would work. And the papers weren't filled out right, and then you had a fight. You had a fight because you had a fight over somebody's ex-boyfriend. I don't know whose ex-boyfriend. Whose was it?
Your Honor, she fought my sister in front of all the kids.
So you had a fight with her sister, and therefore all bets were off. Mm-hmm. That's what she says, that you had a fight with her sister over somebody's ex-boyfriend, a story that, believe me, at this hour, I am totally disinterested in. I am totally disinterested in the story of the fight that you had with her sister. As far as I'm concerned, when two ladies... What are you looking at me? It's such a ridiculous look on your face. I'm disinterested when ladies fight with each other. I think it's very unseemly. The only thing that I have to determine is whether I believe she made an arrangement to pay you her entire salary check. And I don't believe she did, so your case is dismissed.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Jessica's man now used to go out with my sister 5 years ago, so she got a grudge against my sister.
As far as the fight being over my boyfriend, it wasn't even about that.
She got him now. She's so insecure. She should be happy she got him now, though.
The guy has my name, Jessica, tattooed on his neck.
They make a perfect team together, both of them.
Show me the money.
She got what she deserves. She's crazy. She's crazy. Everybody in Bridgeport knows she's crazy. She crazy.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Denton versus Clevenger, step forward, please.
Computer analyst Julia Denton is suing her sister-in-law, student Patricia Clevenger, for the cost of a '96 Toyota RAV4. Julia says Patricia's husband totaled the vehicle.
Mrs. Denton, is this your brother?
Yes.
And this is your sister-in-law?
Yes.
According to your complaint, several years ago, your husband passed away.
Yes.
You say it was in 2001.
That's correct.
When he passed away, one of the things he had was an automobile that was in his name. You had a car, and you agreed to, at that time, let your brother and your sister-in-law use that car.
Correct.
Until the estate was settled, and with the understanding that when it was settled, you would sell them the car. Was that your agreement?
Well, we actually didn't make that agreement. When I loaned them the car to begin with, we didn't make that agreement. It took a long time for the estate to be settled. It wasn't settled until the end of May of 2004. As it got closer to that date, then we started talking about selling them the car. That was my intention, to either sell it to another party or sell it to them if they were still interested in buying it.
Once the estate was settled?
Right, because I was not able to sell any of the assets. He did not have a will, and I was the administrator of his estate. Right.
Okay. Now, you gave them the car to use from 2002, according to your complaint, until 2004. Now, my question to you is, in whose name was the car titled in 2004?
The title was in my late husband's name until after the accident.
Okay. Now, according to you, you insured the car up until May or June of 2004.
Correct.
And then sometime in May or June, you found out that you had started to insure the car.
I did insure the car. After,
when?
In May, after her mother told me that she was no longer carrying insurance on the car.
Okay, so you started to carry insurance on the car, even though you had no insurable interest in the car.
At that point, we felt like the car had been given to us. We had already tried to return the car several times. She said she had no use for the car.
Excuse me, Your Honor, that's
Just
a
a
lie.
minute, I'll get there. And at some point, about a month or so later, your husband had an accident with the car and it was totaled.
Yes.
And you got a check for how much?
$4,687.
Which you feel rightfully belongs to you.
Correct.
And you feel none of that belongs to her because it was your insurance policy.
Correct.
What do you think?
She gave us the car.
Stand up.
She gave us the car 3 years ago. We offered to give it back to her several times. She didn't want the car back. She had 2 cars and 1 driver.
Yes.
She had a Corvette.
Well, what did you say? I'm just curious. What did you say when you offered to give her the car back?
I said, here's the RAV back. You know, you can have it back. She said, no, keep it. Drive it. That's exactly her words.
Okay.
Keep it.
Now, why did you bring it over there?
Well, actually, I brought it over there to make sure that I wasn't encroaching upon her, to make sure that it was a gift, and if she wanted it back, she could have it back.
So you brought it back to her to see if you were encroaching?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Miss Denton. When did you have the first conversation with regard to the estate settling and some papers that would necessarily have to be exchanged?
I found out that they had started to insure the car on June 17th. Up until that time, I carried full coverage insurance on the car.
You have any proof of that?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it, please. Put your hand down. Now, this car was a 1996 Toyota?
Yes.
It was insured until the 17th of June, 2004, not May. It was insured until 17 June, 2004.
Okay.
Full coverage. So you are mistaken that the car was not insured after May. So whoever gave you the information was mistaken.
That would be their mother.
Well, I don't know who it was, but certainly you didn't verify that with her, right?
No, I did not.
Right.
What had happened was, Your Honor, because I had been paying the insurance the whole time, I would give the little cards to my mother, because she lives in the same town they do, to go and give to them, and I had given her the wrong card. And she looked at the date and told them that there must not be insurance on the car because it's expired. They got insurance without my knowledge.
I don't see how they could get insurance. They had no insurable interest in the car.
It was a gift.
You had no insurable interest in the car. That's a matter of law. The car is not in your name. It would be like you deciding that you like the look of Bert's car and saying, I'm going to take out insurance on his car just in case he has an accident. And if he has an accident, I can collect on his car. You have to have an insurable interest in the car. The car was not in your name. And it's not something that is worth family feuding over. Sir, you have to use common sense. If she gave you the car, then the common sense would be, I cannot transfer the title to you in this car until the estate is settled, and that may take several years. But I'm giving you the car. But while I may give you the car, I'm not going to give you the car and pay for your insurance too, because that would be stupid. Put your hand down, troublemaker. Do you understand, sir? I'm ignoring your wife because she is not related to this lady, and you are.
Yes, ma'am.
So she doesn't care if she makes trouble, this one, but you should care if she makes trouble. If your sister was giving you the car as a gift, I would say to my brother, David, I want you to have this car. We can't do the paperwork on it right now. All you have to do is you take care of the maintenance, you take care of the insurance, you take care of all the expenses on the car, and at the appropriate time, I'll just transfer the title over to you. I would not say to him, I'm going to pay for all the expenses, including the insurance on the car.
She didn't pay for all the expenses.
The insurance! No, she's supposed to pay the expenses. I mean, something wrong with you? You look like a perfectly healthy man. Do you work? Are you employed?
Yes, I am.
Then why should she pay for the expenses? You're driving. Listen to me. Listen what you did with your wife. You had the full use of a car for 2.5 years. You had it fixed when it needed to be fixed. You put gas and oil in the car. You did whatever you had to do. Somebody else paid for the insurance. Then, at the 11th hour, because your wife got some misinformation, you insured the car. You had not paid for the car. And you came into a windfall of almost $5,000 for something that wasn't yours. Listen to me, sir. Under your theory, if you had had the car in April, which you did, of 2004, and if you had had an accident and she was paying for the insurance at the time, who would have gotten the insurance money? I'm not asking, put your hand down.
She obviously would have gotten it.
Right. She would have gotten the money. Would you have sued her?
Her insurance would have also paid for
Ma'am, I wouldn't sue a family member.
Right, because you would have done the right thing. And the right thing is, you don't come away with a windfall of almost $5,000, which is outrageous. Outrageous.
We did have medical expenses after the wreck.
Whose fault is that? Hers?
No, but her insurance would have paid it if she was carrying insurance.
Whose fault is that? Hers?
We
If
used
you
the
had
check to pay
medical
for the
insurance,
medical
sir,
expenses.
nobody would have had to pay medical insurance for you. You would have had taken care of it with your medical coverage. And if you're a working person, I assume your wife is working. She looks like she's an able-bodied person. You should have medical insurance.
She's a full-time student.
She's too old to be a full-time student if she has other responsibilities.
I am a full-time student.
Okay. You owe $4,687. Judgment for the plaintiff. No good deed goes unpunished, madam.
Thank you very much.
Parties are excused. You may step out. 568 on the calendar in the matter of Rast versus Trenholm. Thank you. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You're welcome. Have a seat, y'all.
Mr. Trenholm, you and the plaintiff knew each other. She was buying a condo or a co-op?
I had previously bought it. I bought it in February.
And you made an arrangement with her for you to rent a room in her condo. According to Miss Rast's complaint, she was going to be out of town for a few days prior to your moving in.
Yes, Your Honor.
But because you were friends, she said, why don't you move in some of your stuff even before the lease period starts? I'm not going to be there. So far, are we on the same page?
Well, no, Your Honor. Actually, she said that I could move into the premises early myself.
Oh, that
To be
was even
attendance.
nice. Just a second, that was even nicer.
Yes.
Chantam. So she was a great gal, and you moved in. When did you move in?
On the 13th
Of?
of June
Of?
of 2004.
And what furniture did you move in with, sir?
I moved in a guitar. I moved in a...
Just a second. Can you sit on it?
No.
What
You could, but I
furniture
don't
did
think
you
that would be
move in?
comfortable.
I said.
I moved a portable fold-out chair that turned into a bed. I moved in a couple of other chairs, some lamps.
Clothes?
Clothes. There's a couple bags of clothes there. And then...
Bags? You mean suitcases?
Yeah,
or
suitcases.
shopping
I
bags?
had packed all my clothes up.
Now, at some point, you had a few guests over.
Yes, Your Honor.
When was that?
That was on June 18th. It was a few days prior to my birthday, and I invited a few friends over to watch the Red Sox game and celebrate my birthday.
So you were at that point a tenant.
Yes.
How much rent had you paid?
None.
Tenants pay rent.
They do, but we had no written
Mr.
contract,
Trenholm.
Your Honor.
You don't have to have a written contract, Mr. Trenholm. You can be a month-to-month tenant without it. But as long as your behind is in her apartment and you say that you were going to be a lessee, you're a tenant.
Yes, Your Honor.
Tenants pay rent.
But she had told me verbally, we had a verbal agreement that I could move in early, and that would not be the case because she knew that I was already in another lease. So it was in her goodwill that she allowed me to move in.
So you weren't a tenant.
I guess legally, no.
You were an invited guest.
I was a guest.
I love when I can reel them in. I love when they get reeled in like fish. Remember Bert, do you remember when you were a kid, they had those games at, I don't know if you ever went to Coney Island. You go to Coney Island? They had those fish tanks, and they gave you a fishing pole with a magnet at the end, you know, and you leaned over and you tried to catch as many as you could.
Yeah.
I liked that game as a child. All right, now back to you, Mr. Trenholm. So you had a few guests over to celebrate. What national holiday were we celebrating on the 18th of June?
My 22nd birthday, Your Honor.
Did you provide libation for this group?
Meaning? You'll have to forgive me, Your Honor.
Libation, drink.
I'm a music student.
Drink,
yes.
drink, libation. It's a word. It's English.
Yes.
What kind of libation did you provide for this group?
I didn't go out and buy any because there wasn't going to be high volumes of people there. Most of my friends, the few that came over, brought their own. It was kind of like a bring your own alcohol type of thing.
Give me the approximate age of these people that you invited over.
The youngest one was me, being 22, going up to the oldest one, Mike, who was 26.
How many were 22?
3.
How many were 23?
2, I believe. I think maybe 123, 124, actually.
And how many were 25?
None.
You were the oldest.
He has my age wrong. I was actually 24, and my girlfriend is 26.
One girlfriend.
Yes.
She looks young.
Oh, shh. I'm not finished. Your name is?
Mike Schaefer.
Mike. Step up here, Mike. Mike, how did your girlfriend feel being the only woman there?
She wasn't the only woman there, actually.
Really? She wasn't the only woman there?
No, she wasn't.
How many women were there?
4 or 5.
4 or 5, including your girlfriend or excluding your girlfriend?
Including, I'd estimate.
So let's say there were 5 women. We have Mr. Trenholm, who was celebrating his birthday. He's one person. Then we have 3 other 22-year-olds. That makes 4 people. A couple of little older. That makes 6 people. You're 7. 7 and 5 women. 12 people.
I invited 6 people, and a few of them brought friends. Girlfriends.
Oh, well, that's why I was just looking here, because you seemed to suggest that there were just a few people. So that's a big gathering. And all these people brought their own alcohol.
Yep.
What did they do for food?
We ordered some pizza. There's a pizza place right across the street.
Okay, what time did your friends leave?
The majority of them left that evening, but Mike and his girlfriend and 2 of my other friends stayed.
Where did they sleep?
There's 2 pull-out couches in the living room of the apartment, so they stayed there, and I slept on the fold-out chair in my room.
What time did you get up in the morning?
It was relatively early, I believe 8 a.m., because I had to work that day as well.
What time do you have to be at work?
Noon. It was in New Hampshire. I had to travel.
So you had to get dressed to go to work?
Yes.
That didn't give you much opportunity to clean up.
I actually cleaned with my friends.
Yes.
Did you?
My girlfriend and my 2 female friends.
Do you have any proof of what your place looked like?
Oh, I do, absolutely.
I'd like to see it, please.
I do have some pictures. And somebody,
Let's see
I just
what
want
kind of a cleaner Michael is.
I do want to say that somebody did sleep in my bed, and somebody had sex in my bed as well. There's nothing more humiliating than cleaning up somebody's used condom in the morning.
Miss Rass?
Yes.
What do you do for a living?
Well, I'm a student. I'm a full-time student, and I was working as a waitress at the time.
Okay. What are you studying?
I'm studying psychology.
What year are you in?
I am a junior now.
You seem like a relatively smart young woman. You've taken the basic
I do try.
psychology 101 and 103 and all those other psychology
Well, I can
classes.
spot a when I meet one.
All right. Miss Rest, let me tell you this. Okay, without using profanity, it's really not necessary all the time. Sometimes using a butter knife to kill somebody is really much more fun than using, you know, a really sharp-edged tool.
That might be
true. It takes
true.
a lot longer.
A spoon.
Trust me, it works. A spoon works just as well. But what you should have learned so far in your studies is that a 22-year-old male has the equivalent age of a 7-year-old female.
That might even be a stretch.
And this one is 24. What do you do for a living?
I'm a loan officer at a mortgage company in New
You're
Hampshire.
a loan officer. Do you have a home?
I do.
Well, on the 18th of June, why didn't you go to your own home instead of staying over? Is not an answer.
It was late. I believe it was about 2 in the morning, and we have to drive about an hour, so I thought it was safer to stay.
Why?
Because
Isn't it nicer to sleep in your own bed and wake up in your own bed in the morning?
it certainly is, but I'd hate to be on the roads tired.
How about drunk?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
No one slept in her bedroom.
She didn't say that they slept in her bedroom. She said that they had sex in her bedroom. There's a difference. That only takes, unfortunately, sometimes a split second.
And later today,
Some guy threatened to kill him, put a gun to his head.
Is he still around or is he in jail?
He's still around.
real cases, real people, Judge Judy. Caroline Rask says former friend Derek Trenholm owes for damages to her condo as the result of a party. Derek says the lawsuit is revenge for breaking up with Caroline's friend.
I don't know what this is here. You want to tell me what this is?
Oh, that if there's spots. That's a picture of my wall. That's beer on the wall.
Why is he smiling? Bird, would you ask him why he's smiling?
Why are you smiling?
Because if you had seen the condition of the place the next morning after we cleaned it, you would realize how ridiculous it was that looks.
I am an extremely OCD person. My
well, let
house
me tell you
is
something.
immaculate.
Oh, and these stains were on your sofa?
That's my sofa stain.
Oh. And how many used condoms did you clean up?
Just the one, but that's
in your bedroom?
Pretty vile enough, yes.
You're absolutely right. Now, you brought that computer.
Yes.
Want to tell me why you brought the computer?
Whenever I leave my apartment, whenever I'm not in town, I close the computer up so it was like this and turned off when I left. I'm very protective of my computer. It has a lot of my work in it. And when I returned, the computer was open and it was on. And I do not use AOL Instant Messenger. I use just straight AOL. And Instant Messenger had been downloaded into my computer, and some people had used it, and I do have their screen names, so I do have evidence that they were on my computer. When I went to check my email, the computer was in a pool of beer. It looked like somebody had just wiped the front of it, but had not bothered to pick it up. I managed to get most of it out with a Q-tip. However, right in the mouse pad, there's still some beer that's visible if you look at it. And when the computer starts to heat up, the mouse sticks and doesn't work. And also the keys right here, they're broken, and the F4 is missing. So they're kind of glued on right now, just for functional purposes.
How much did you pay for that computer?
I want to say it was about $1,200. My dad bought it for me as a graduation gift from high school.
What do you have to say for yourself, sir?
Well, the computer she showed to me when I came back after the party, and she said, somebody did
spilled
something.
beer all over
That's
it.
what she said. And she's pointing at it saying, there's beer all over it, it's broken. And I'm looking at it saying, like, how can you possibly say that? There's nothing on it. There's no marks, there's no liquid, there's no
What
stickiness.
about your friends who used it?
I don't know if any of my friends used it. There was very few people there. I'd be surprised if that's the case.
I can show him the screen name.
She says she's got a few screen names written down. It's completely ridiculous. After this incident, she told me, you know, you broke my computer. I can't believe you did that. My password was stored in there for AOL. 2 weeks later, she deleted my AOL account. I signed on, it was gone.
The's no way I can...
Just a second.
She deleted my AOL, she deleted my mail, she deleted my address book, she deleted my buddy list, and she deleted all the documents that were contained within my filing cabinet.
Show me.
I can't. There's no way to do that if somebody deletes your stuff.
There's no...
What about the beer stains all over her couch?
Those were not there when we left. It's complete fabrication. This is more about a personal vendetta.
What about the condom in her bed, sir?
That's completely false, too. That's a complete lie.
Okay.
It's ridiculous.
I changed, not 7, 6. 6.
I told you it might be
6.
an exaggeration.
You know what he didn't learn? He didn't learn from his parents when they said, when you do something wrong, you have to say, I'm sorry, I apologize.
No one slept in her bedroom.
I'm sorry, I apologize. Let me tell you something. She didn't say that they slept in her bedroom. She said that they had sex in her bedroom. There's a difference. That only takes, unfortunately, sometimes a split second.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Trenholm, you don't need 8 hours to use a condom. Right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, my only problem with Miss Rast, and I want to tell you something, Miss Rast, you see, I have a big problem with you, and the problem is you're only suing him for $780.
That's a problem.
As far as I'm concerned, he has to replace that computer that cost $1,200. He would have to replace these couches, according to what I see here, because you're never going to get those stains out. So I don't have to go any further. For some reason,
What about
you
the money
decide,
she
I'm
tried to-
speaking! For some reason, you decided to be kind to Mr. Trenholm, something that I certainly wouldn't do under the circumstances, and sue him only for a nominal amount of money, which I am pleased and joyful about being able to award you. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $780. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I should have been suing him for a whole lot more for the cost of the computer to get fixed, as well as the damage in the apartment.
When you tell big enough lies, people listen to that over the truth.
I think that she just decided she'd lie and so that she would win the case.
I don't care if he was having, tea with the Queen. I don't care if he was having lunch with the Mafia. The moral of the story is he damaged my apartment, and he should have to pay for that.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Langari versus Cologne. Step forward, please.
18-year-old student Nydia Langari is suing her ex-boyfriend, 21-year-old promoter Hector Cologne, for money loaned and the cost of a necklace.
Miss Langari, this young man used to be a boyfriend of yours, and you, according to you, loaned him some money. One small loan was for him to remain alive since somebody was after him because he owed them money. And the other loan was for some clothes that he wanted, clothes and shoes and stuff. And then you found out that he wasn't the man that you thought he was.
Exactly.
And you want a necklace back that you let him borrow.
Which I believe he pounded.
Now, Mr. Cologne says that you're crazy about him, and you gave him money, and it was a gift. There was never any promise to pay you back, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you are a special guy. You are a prize package. You are a unique man. Prime property.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Nydia Langari says ex-boyfriend Hector Cologne owes for loans and a lost necklace.
When did you first start to date this Prince Charming?
In December 23rd, 2004.
When did you make the first loan to him?
I think 2 weeks after, when he told me that some guy threatened to kill him, put a gun to his head, and I mean, he was telling me this story, and I offered to borrow the money, and he said he would pay me within 2 weeks.
Tell me about the loan that you had with this guy who put a gun to your head.
I was doing something for him and whatever.
No, I want you to be specific. I'm really interested. You were doing something for him. What were you doing?
I was selling drugs for him or whatever.
Okay, so he gave you drugs that you sold.
Yeah, and I supposed to owe him money. I spend the money. I owe them money.
What kind of drugs did you sell for him?
Weed.
Just marijuana.
Yeah.
How much did you sell?
It was pounds of it.
Do you love this? Do you love this, Sheena? Remember that fishing game that I discussed with you with the fishing poles and the magnets? Mr. Cologne, you sold pounds of marijuana for this guy. You made the money, and then you went and you spent it on something else. What'd you spend it on?
Clothes.
So you bought clothes with it. Didn't you think that that was a dangerous thing to do? How long had you known this guy?
For like 2 or 3 years.
Did you sell for him retail or wholesale? Shh, quiet! Did you sell in bulk to other people or little bits? Little bits. On a street corner or from your house?
They used to call me.
So you had regular customers?
Yeah.
Okay, so he had threatened to kill you?
Yeah.
With a gun?
Mm-hmm.
How old are you?
I'm 21.
Do you have children?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Ooh, I knew you were going to say that. I knew he was going to say. How many children do you have?
I got one daughter.
Where does she live?
With her mother in New York.
Okay. So you took the money from her and she gave you the what, $150?
180.
And you gave it to the drug dealer?
Mm-hmm.
Is he still around or is he in jail?
He's still around.
What's his name?
His name is...
And you gave back his money?
Mm-hmm.
And then you were back in business?
No, after that I started working in a restaurant.
Oh, that's good. So you went legitimate?
Mm-hmm.
Good. When you started working, why didn't you give her back the money?
Because she said that to not worry about it as long as I'm safe. She never said to pay her back.
That's a lie.
Okay. Now, what about the clothes that you bought for him?
He just told me to borrow the money, that's all. So he said he was going to give it back to me in 2 weeks.
Go ahead.
I used to pick up at work sometimes on my day off, and she used to give me money here and there. She used to not tell me to pay her back. She used to say, don't worry about it.
What'd she say? Just here, take this and go buy yourself something?
Yeah, like, you know what I'm saying? She was seriously in love with me.
That's a lie.
Okay. Now, what about the chain?
The chain, when she gave it to me, we was in her house or whatever, and she was not even supposed to have people in her house. We got caught in her house, and her mother was saying stuff in Spanish that she never raised up her daughter to have guys in the house or whatever. And the chain was already loose, and I never pawned her chain. It was
You just lost it?
I lost it. I was in a club, and it was loose, and I lost it.
Did she give it to you, or did she let you borrow it?
No, she gave it to me and said, there's a chain, so when you lay down, like when I go to sleep, to think about me.
Let me tell you something, Miss Langara. Mr. Cologne, whatever he is, he's not a liar. I can tell you that right now, because right now he has acknowledged that he committed felonies for the last 3 years. Anybody that would acknowledge to me that he has been a drug dealer for a very long time, sold marijuana, bought it wholesale, sold it retail, is not going to lie to me about a stupid thing like $150 that you gave him or some clothes that you bought for him. It's not. Put your hand down. You're winning. So I have to decide whether these things that you gave him were gifts or they were loans. I don't think that they were loans. You got angry with him, according to you, because you found that he was lying to you, that he had a child, that he had a woman.
And that's the when I started to avoid him. I stopped the relationship.
Good.
Because I didn't want to be with somebody.
Ms. Ligara, that was very, very smart. I think you should stay away from Mr. Cologne until you're really certain that he is gone legit. But these monies that you gave him, I don't believe were loans. I don't believe it, because I have to decide who's lying. And anybody so stupid as to acknowledge in front of 8 million people that he's a drug dealer is not going to lie to me about a couple of dollars in loans. Thank you very much. Case number.
Parties are excused. Now, this is case number 293 on the calendar in the matter of Heater versus Titus. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat.
Mr. Heater, the defendant used to be your girlfriend.
Yes.
And according to your complaint, she had you falsely arrested for domestic violence.
Correct.
Ms. Titus says that she did call the police. She had you arrested for domestic violence, and that's because you hit her. Correct?
Yes.
This incident happened on what date?
July 28th.
Now, Ms. Titus, I am correct that at one point in your relationship, you found yourself pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
And you told Mr. Heater that he was the father of this baby and that you miscarried. Is
Yes,
that what
ma'am.
happened? But it turned out that he was not the father of this child.
It could have not been his.
Right. And then you renewed your relationship again briefly. But that's all it takes, Mr. Heater. A brief moment of stupidity, and Miss Titus told you she was pregnant again. And according to you, you said, listen, I didn't know about last time, I don't know about this time. I don't want to have anything to do with this baby until I take a paternity test.
Actually, what I told her was that I would help her out as long as I would be repaid if the baby was not mine.
You didn't discuss that with me first. I would have told you that that was a very bad idea. However, on the evening of the 28th of July, according to you, and according to Miss Titus, she called you and wanted to come over to talk.
Actually, he called me.
Yes.
What did you call her for?
I thought that she had a doctor's appointment regarding the baby the previous day, and I just called to see how it went.
And what did Miss Titus tell you?
She said that I was wrong about the date, that I believe it was the next day, and that she would like to come over and speak to me. And I said, I don't think that's a good idea. We speak face-to-face, that we should speak over the phone. And she said that she didn't want to speak over the phone.
So Mr. Heater told you not to come over.
Well,
you
no.
acknowledge that. He said he didn't want to talk to you in
He
person.
said that he didn't want to talk to me, but eventually said that it was okay for me to come over.
Did you tell her it was okay to
No,
come
I
over?
did not.
No, I don't believe that. It's not what you say in your answer, and I don't believe that. He said he didn't want to talk to you in person. He thought you should discuss whatever you had to discuss over the phone. But you went over there anyway. What time did you go over there?
About 12:30 in the afternoon.
What did you want to discuss with him?
I wanted to talk to him about the baby and about how things were going between us. We were, before this, we were going out and doing things together and, like...
Don't you people know anything about birth control?
Yes, they don't work for me.
They don't work for you?
Yes. My body rejects them.
There are all kinds of birth control, Ms. Titus.
Yes, ma'am.
The answer to having a problem with one form of birth control is not to have babies with people who don't want to have children with you, like Mr. Heater or anybody else. So you went over there about 12:30.
I knocked at the door, and he told me to come in, and we started talking, and I upset him. And
how did you upset him?
I don't remember exactly what I said.
Maybe you
to
do.
him.
If you don't remember, maybe he does. What happened, Mr.
I
Heater?
was upset before she came into the house because I told her not to.
Come over.
And she started screaming through my door at me.
What was she saying?
You have to live up to your responsibilities. You can't create a situation and then not take care of it.
That doesn't sound welcoming, Miss Titus.
That never happened at all.
Go ahead.
So, to save myself from embarrassment from my neighbors, and I did open the door for her to try to...
So you let her in.
Yeah.
And what happened when she came inside?
It just continued on the same thing in there. You have to take care of this. And, you know, I was trying to tell her I'm doing the best I can with this. I don't really know how to deal with this situation. Everything's so bad. I don't know what to do except for what I am doing, and that wasn't good enough for her. And for 30 or 45 minutes, she followed me around my house with me telling her to leave over and over and over again. She would not leave my house. And eventually I was in the kitchen sorting my dishes, and she came in and was pointing her finger at me, yelling at me in there, telling me the same thing, that I had to deal with my responsibilities. At that point, I took her by the hand that she was pointing at me with and just turned her around facing the kitchen door. And I had hold of her elbows with my body pressed against her back and was just walking her towards the door. I was like, you need to leave now. And she grabbed onto the kitchen doorway and started pressing back against me. And when I finally backed off of her and she let go of the door, she turned around and grabbed my hand like this, and then she smacked me in the face and said I had no right to touch her. And as a reaction, my hand came back around too.
So you hit her?
Yeah, regrettably I did come back around. She went off towards what I thought was the front door, but as I was in the kitchen, I heard her dialing my phone. She told me then that she called the police.
Do you have a copy of the police report?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it, please. Who is this gentleman, Mr. Heater?
This is my friend, Jason Hubbard.
Was he a witness to what happened on the 28th of July?
No, he wasn't.
Okay. Okay, Ms. Titus, tell me what happened, your version of what happened when you got into the house.
When I came into the house, we sat down on the couch and started to talk. At first, things were okay. Then I started talking about the baby and about this new girl that he's dating and how that her not liking me around is the real reason why he's not wanting to have anything to do with the baby. Then he got upset and told me to leave, and I told him no, he can't just end the conversation anytime he wants
he can.
to.
He can tell you to leave his house. Go ahead.
I followed him around the house and was still talking to him, and we ended up in the kitchen, and I had said something about this girl he's dating, his girlfriend, and he doesn't like me to refer to her as that, so that made him really upset. And he came and he grabbed me by my arms and started to escort me through the door. And I stopped myself, told him he didn't have any right to put his hands on me at all.
Yes, he did.
Not according to...
Oh, yes, he did. Once he tells you that he wants you to leave his house and you remain there, you're trespassing. That's a crime. Next.
Well, according to...
Don't tell me according to anybody. You tell according to a police officer. I've had 10 years of postgraduate legal education. When you're in somebody's house and you're an invited guest, first of all, you weren't an invited guest.
But
in
I
this
was
house. I'm
invited.
speaking. You weren't an invited guest. You were told not to come. You came anyway. He tried to avoid you and said, please leave. Once he told you to leave his house and you refused, you become a trespasser.
Well, another reason
Now,
I didn't leave is because in previous arguments that we've had, he's asked me to leave, and then 10 minutes later he'll call me and tell me come back over.
Well, you just have to guess his mood then. Right now he told you to leave, and you didn't leave. So he put his hands on you to escort you out.
Mm-hmm.
And what did you do?
I was pushing back against him, like you said, and I turned around, and he still had a hold of me when I smacked him in his face.
Right, so you smacked him in his face first.
Yes, ma'am.
And then he slapped you.
Twice.
Twice. You slapped him the first time, he slapped you twice. It's amazing to me that the police arrested you, sir. Absolutely amazing.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You have no right to lie to the police, because it was a lie, but you told the police that he pushed you in your stomach while you were pregnant. That's not what he did at all, because that's not what you told me happened.
And later today,
I asked her, what is he doing here? Why are you calling me at 4 o'clock in the morning if he's here?
He started running his mouth. Me and him got into a fight.
He came with a pipe of some sort, then smashed out the back window.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Nathan Heater says ex-girlfriend Rebecca Titus had him falsely arrested for physically abusing her. Rebecca claims he kicked her in the stomach during her pregnancy.
Tried to get you out of the house. He's holding on to your arms. You're resisting him. Ultimately, you turn around. He's still pushing you, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And you slapped him.
Mm-hmm.
He slapped you then twice. Mm-hmm. Where did he slap you? In the face?
In the face.
And then he let go of you when you called the police.
Mm-hmm.
And you are there because you are pregnant.
Yes.
And you're concerned about the welfare of your baby.
Yes.
And that is the primary thing that you're concerned about, the welfare of your baby.
Yes.
So let me tell you what you told the police. Titus said that the defendant grabbed her by the arms and began to drag her out of his house, physically trying to remove her from the residence. She advised that she is pregnant with his child and that he pushed on her stomach. Was that meant to get the police really angry at him? Pregnant, he pushed on your stomach? You're full of baloney. And you had no right to have him arrested. And I'm amazed that they arrested him. He has a right to escort you out of his house if you refuse to leave. You hit him first. Did you hire a lawyer?
No, I had a public defender.
One of the things that I have to comment on is you're not too swift. If you're dating this girl and she tells you she's pregnant and it turns out it could have been you or somebody else, I wouldn't have had a wind through my head and then had intimate relations with her again, unprotected. Do we understand each other?
Completely.
Ms. Titus, you have to learn that domestic violence is a very serious crime. Just because you're a woman doesn't mean that you have a right to hit somebody and not expect to be hit back. And you have no right to lie to the police, because it was a lie what you told the police that he pushed you in your stomach while you were pregnant. That's not what he did at all, because that's not what you told me happened. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,500. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I'm glad that somebody let her know that there are consequences for her actions.
I want him to be a father to the child, and pending a paternity test, I think that he will be there.
Careful who you fall in love with.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Foster versus Green. Step forward.
23-year-old Nick Foster is suing his ex-girlfriend's current boyfriend, 25-year-old Derek Green, for smashing his car windows with a pipe. Derek claims Nick tried to run him over.
Where's the girlfriend?
She didn't want to come.
She couldn't make it because of work.
Didn't want to come sounds like a better answer.
Probably.
Mr. Foster, the defendant is your ex-girlfriend's current boyfriend?
Yes.
At the time, yeah.
And according to your complaint, one evening he was drunk and disorderly and damaged your car. Mr. Green says that he might have damaged your car, but that was because you tried to run him over. So why don't you tell me this story of intrigue?
Basically, my ex-girlfriend, who I've been together with on and off for 5 years now, she called me over about 4 o'clock in the morning.
Sure.
Had you been sleeping when she called?
Trying to, no.
What were you doing?
I was getting home from a night out.
Was this a Saturday night?
It was a Thursday night.
So you were just coming in at 4 o'clock in the morning?
No, I was home probably about 2 o'clock, but she called me at 4 o'clock.
And you figured this is too good to pass up? I'm going over.
Yep.
Had you been drinking?
Earlier that night, yes.
And what happened when you got to her house?
I stayed over there for about hour and a half, and decided to leave.
Who does she live with?
She lives with her mother and her father.
How did she get you into the house?
The front door.
What happened when you left?
Her father was awake, so I decided to go out the back door. That's where I saw the defendant passed out in the backyard.
What were you doing in the backyard passed out, Mr. Green?
I was passed out there because my girlfriend had left with my buddy's girlfriend to go to the store to get cigarettes. I passed out. I wake up. He's chasing my girlfriend around.
You're getting ahead of yourself, sir. I'm asking the questions.
Nick Foster says his ex-girlfriend's current boyfriend, Derek Green, vandalized his car with a pipe. Derek claims Nick is stalking him and his girlfriend.
Where were you earlier in the evening of the 8th of September?
We were at the bar drinking, me and Jacqueline.
Jackie's the girlfriend?
Yes.
How did you get to her house?
Her car.
Who drove?
I did.
You drove the car drunk?
Yes.
And when you got there, she told you you couldn't come in?
No, I was outside smoking a cigarette. I was not allowed to smoke in the house.
And you just fell asleep?
Yes.
Passed out?
Mm-hmm.
You were awakened at about what time?
Around 4 o'clock in the morning.
And tell me what you sort of remember.
So I remember seeing him chasing my girlfriend around the back patio. He ran out the back door and through the back gate.
So he went out the back door?
Yeah, after he had went in the back door.
He went out. No, you didn't see him go in.
I seen him
No,
running,
you don't listen to me.
All right.
Mr. Green,
Mm-hmm.
let's get it together, sir.
All right, I'm getting it together.
You didn't see him go in, correct?
Yeah.
But you saw him come out.
Yes.
You don't know what time he went in.
I don't really know what went on, to tell you the
When
truth.
you were in the house with your ex-girlfriend and the father woke up, was he angry?
He was upstairs.
What caused your girlfriend to leave the house?
I decided that I needed to leave. So she said, go out the back door. We could hear him walking upstairs. Upon doing that, that's when I noticed that he was outside. I asked her, what is he doing here? Why are you calling me at 4 o'clock in the morning if he's here? So I guess he heard us talking outside, came downside and told us all to leave.
You mean the father?
Yes.
When he said he told you all to leave, what did he say to you?
He said, everyone leave.
That was nice. I would have probably phrased it differently. So what did you do, Mr. Green?
I left.
Well, how did you come in contact with Mr. Foster's car?
After I had walked up the street, he come following me up the street. Me and him got into a fight.
How did you get into a fight? Explain
He
that.
got out his car. He started running his mouth. Me and him got into a fight, started walking across the street. Then he got back into his car, come across the street, tried to run me over. I had to jump out of the way, and I threw a rock at his back window and busted his window out.
Why did you throw a rock at his back window?
It's an ongoing thing with him. It's, you know, he's been stalking us.
I'm asking you, what did the rock have to do with this altercation that you had?
He tried to run me over. He tried to kill me.
Go ahead, Mr. Foster.
What he said was correct to a point. Yes, we did get into a fight, and I got out of my car to run my mouth because he kicked us out of my car. His friends came over and separated us.
Where were your friends? What are all these people doing at 5 o'clock in the morning?
He woke him
They're not
up.
my friends.
We woke him up arguing, and they were right across the street.
How old are you?
I'm 23.
I'm 25.
It's not even the youth of America. Yes, go ahead. So,
Well, when you stand in the middle of the street as I'm trying to leave, yes, I guess you could say I tried to hit him.
with your car.
Well, yeah, if I'm driving in the middle of the street, he's in the middle of the street, then yes, I guess you could say I tried to hit him.
Yeah, go ahead.
He came after me as I pulled over. He came with a pipe of some sort, smashed the side of my car in the driver's door, then the back door, then smashed out the back window.
Does that sound right, Mr. Green?
No.
Well, how did all the windows get broken on his car?
I don't know how all the windows got broken. I know I busted the back window out. I didn't bust any of the other windows out.
Can I see pictures of the car, please?
The other windows were not busted out. It's the side, or the top of my car, on the side of my car, that was damaged with a pipe.
What kind of car do you have?
Grand Prix.
Ooh, no, that's a pipe, Mr. Green. That's not a rock, sir. That's pipe. What kind of work do you do?
I'm a roofing supervisor.
A what?
Roofing supervisor.
If I were spend my days up on the top of a roof, I don't think I would get as sauced as you do, sir.
I take off when I want.
That's responsible.
I pick my days.
Can I see the estimates on your car, please? Either one of you treated at any hospital or by any doctor on the night of the 8th or the 9th of September?
No.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
Treated by a doctor or a hospital?
No, I was not.
Okay, so we're not talking about any injuries to you. We're talking about two people who had been drinking a lot, right? Let me ask you a question. Did you have a fight with your ex-girlfriend that evening?
No.
Did you ask her whether or not she'd called him to come over?
Yes, I did.
And what did she say?
She said no.
But you see, that's a lie, because she let him in the house.
You know, when somebody stalks you so much, then you can only do so much.
Listen to me. If somebody's stalking, uncross your hands. If somebody's stalking you, you don't resolve his stalking by calling him at 4 o'clock in the morning to come over to the house. And you don't let him in the house, sir.
Yeah, well, he's coming to my house 2:30 in the morning.
I don't care about your house. I'm talking about the girlfriend's house, sir.
I'm not worried about that anymore.
Oh. Listen, when you drink, you have to pay the piper. I don't think your girlfriend was honest with you, sir, with regard to what happened that evening. Maybe she was a little drunk, too, which is why she called Mr. Foster over. Certainly her father got fed up with all of you, told you all to leave. If he was afraid for his daughter's life, he would have taken her into the house and said, you guys get out of here because you're placing my entire family at risk. So I think that's something you really have to look into. And maybe if you had a clear head, Mr. Green, and weren't so infused with alcohol, you could look at the situation a little more clearly. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,941. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Trên tay mình đang cầm đây là sản phẩm lăn khử mùi của gạc nie Midera và có cái công dụng hiệu quả ngăn mùi cơ thể lên tới 48 giờ đồng hồ, giúp chị em phụ nữ cũng như là các cánh mày râu của chúng ta có thể luôn tự tin và hấp dẫn với cái mùi cơ thể của chúng ta. Và đặc biệt với cái thành phần từ các cái khoáng chất từ thiên nhiên, từ gạc nie có thể giúp ngăn ngừa cái mùi khó chịu và nó sẽ giảm bài tiết cái mồ hôi ở vùng nách và giúp chúng ta có thể tự tin với cái mùi cơ thể của chúng ta. Và đặc biệt với cái công thức tối ưu từ gạc nie và vitamin và các cái khoáng chất và cái công nghệ nano phân tử bạc giúp dung dịch khử mùi một cách nhanh chóng và sẽ hấp thụ vào da mà không gây nên cái tình trạng là ướt dính và tạo cho chúng ta một cái cảm giác là khô thoáng ngay sau khi mà chúng ta sử dụng cái lăn khử mùi, và đồng thời nó sẽ lưu lại một cái mùi hương dễ chịu và có thể lưu hương trong suốt cái thời gian là 48 giờ đồng hồ khi mà chúng ta sử dụng. Với dòng lăn khử mùi từ gạc nie thì mang lại một cái hiệu quả vượt trội trong cái việc là kiểm soát cũng như là bài tiết mồ hôi và giảm tới 96% cái lượng vi khuẩn, giúp ngăn ngừa các cái hình thành vệt ố ở trên áo của chúng ta, đồng thời sẽ cung cấp các cái dưỡng chất và làm giảm các cái vết thâm ở vùng nách, đặc biệt là đối với những người mà thường xuyên dùng nhíp hoặc là dao cào để chúng ta cào lông ở cái vùng nách của cánh tay. Và đặc biệt đối với dòng sản phẩm này thì nó sẽ không chứa cồn, không chứa các cái chất tạo màu công nghiệp, vì vậy nó rất là an toàn với tất cả mọi loài da mà không gây nên tình trạng là kích ứng da.